Hey, welcome everybody to the 4K Lowdown. My name is David, and this is a very special episode of Hi-5 where my super special guest is Movies with Ryan. Ryan, how are you?
Doing good. Thank you for having me, sir. I greatly
Oh,
appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I know we had a couple of time things, but yeah, you jumped on, you're ready to go. I got your 5 movies, so I am glad to have you on here for episode 8. And I'm looking forward to this. And this is going to be fun. You picked some really great movies that I love, and one that I've never seen. So I got to watch that today and enjoyed that. So yeah, we're gonna get down and dirty with these things and give them the lowdown treatment, which is we're gonna score them on 10 aspects. And the first 5 aspects we have for all movies, and that's cast, acting, plot, ending, and story. So, and the only thing and we'll talk about each one as we go through. But for cast is the only one that's actually going to be not like an opinion, but based on who you know. So it's more like recognition as opposed to how good the actor is. But we'll talk about that. The other 5, however, are based on the genre. The first 3 are based on the genre. The last 2 are based on the type of movie, whether it's a disaster movie or a spy film or something like that, or if it's a drama slash comedy, like we're actually going to get into. Um, then we'll get 3 based on the drama aspect and 2 based on the comedy, or vice versa, depending on which is more prominent. Um, Before we do each movie, I'm going to ask you a hot seat question, which is also going to be 5 questions, just kind of covering. I call it the hot seat. So you're going to be in the hot seat. I'm going to ask you questions, and you just give straight up your best, most honest answer right off the top of your head. You ready?
I can do that. I can do
Uh,
that.
okay. Before we get started, go ahead and painlessly, or shamelessly plug your channels and all that kind of stuff because you just hit 400 subscribers. Congratulations on that, by the way, brother. And I'm looking forward to the day or the year when I get to that point. it's it's a long process, but
It
fortunately, I'm
is.
here to have fun more than I am to just try to get subs.
And I'm in
But
the same boat.
good.
I'm just logging along, just getting one subscriber at a time. But I am Ryan from Movies with Ryan. I do a video a week, whether it be unboxings, thrifting, recommendations, or my favorite 5, where I pick a subject and I name my five favorite things of that. If you check me out on Instagram, I'm doing a still book a day as well. Instagram is Movies with Ryan as well. And that's it. Come subscribe, come watch my videos, come make fun of me.
Good. You guys, if you're on here, smash that like button for me, and also the links to his Instagram and YouTube channel are down there. You can click on them, sub or follow, and also mine if you haven't followed my stuff.
Yeah, speaking
Uh,
of Instagram, I hit 1,000 followers last week, and I was sitting there thinking, that should kind of equate to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, but that's not the way it
no,
works.
no, it does not work like that. I am actually at 654 followers on Instagram, and 134 on YouTube. So, but go figure, I'm at 2,100 on Facebook. So,
Yeah,
and
Facebook's not a
really,
market I've tapped into yet. I didn't think about Facebook.
I actually started on Facebook back
Okay.
in 2010, I think, and um, and I've been doing the way I score these now in the lowdown. I've been doing that for 10 years, so I've been doing it since 2012. But I've been reviewing movies all this time, and one of the movies that you picked is actually from 2010, and I actually found an old review for it, and I was like, oh hey, I reviewed this movie. Um, but I didn't actually score it. It was back when I was doing 5 stars max. So, and I actually gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So it was interesting to turn around and score it in the lowdown, and it turned out pretty close. So I was actually pretty happy to get that.
I
All
got to
right.
remember what movie I have from 2010.
Oh, we'll get there. So I'm gonna give you the choice. We can go in like release date order, or we can just randomly pick a poster and talk about it.
Let's go
However you
random.
want. Let's go random.
Let's
I like it.
randomize it and throw
All
me in the
right.
seat.
All right, throw in the seat. Well, speaking of seat, your first hot seat question, my friend, is How do you prefer to watch movies? Do you prefer the theater, digital media, or physical media?
Physical media, pretty much all the way. I think I've only seen 4 movies in the last 5 years in the movie theater.
Hmm.
And it has to be something I've got to watch. Like Infinity War and Endgame I watched, and then I watched No Way Home and Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's what I've watched in like the last 5 years in the theater.
Yeah, me
Otherwise,
too.
do it at home. I've got kids. I got a family. I don't have time to run out and watch a 3-hour movie, 2-hour movie.
Right. Yeah, I did catch Love and Thunder. It came out the day after my anniversary, so it was kind of an anniversary thing for me and my wife. But yeah, I'm almost sorry I went to see it in the theater, but I would it would have been just fine just getting the movie and watching it at home. But no, that was interesting. I kind of figured. I mean, we're both kind of physical media guys. I do enjoy the theater, but like you, I've got kids. I've got grandkids. My kids are all grown up and moved out, but I've got grandkids now, and sometimes Grandpa's got to babysit, and
Yep.
plus it's an hour drive one way to get to the theater. So if I'm going to go to the theater, it's got to be like an event. So we're going there, we're meeting up with family, we're going out to dinner, and we're going to watch a movie together. Because yeah, if I'm going to go all the way to town where my kids live, then I want to have like a big event and have the whole family there.
Make a whole day of it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Get some grocery shopping done, hit Walmart, pick up some movies, and then go to the theater and watch Top Gun Maverick, which I was one I actually saw twice in the theater. So, um, all right, so let's get in with your first movie, and again we're going to go
All
at
right.
random. So, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Your first one is 13 Assassins. Um, and this is actually one of 2 movies that is from 2010. So,
I thought this one was, but I couldn't remember if there was 2 of them or not. But yeah,
right.
Takashi
That's a
Miike.
that's a beautiful steelbook.
Yes, it is.
I am very jealous. There's a few. Well, there's a lot of steelbooks that you were been displaying on Instagram where I'm like, oh, dude, I want that one. I want that steelbook so bad.
Yeah, that's my preferred medium whenever a new release comes out is steelbook. If
Mhm.
I can find it, I'll get it.
And I've recently gotten to that point. So I just hit 250 steelbooks, maybe a little bit more than that. But originally, yeah, I wasn't getting steelbooks. I'd get steelbooks every once in a while, usually if that was the only one I could find, was the steelbook, or I got a really good price on it. Like I'd find a steelbook at uh, Big Lots or something for $3 or $5. I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and grab that. But lately, I mean, probably in the last 2 years, I've been preferring to grab the steelbook, especially with 4K. The
What
Lionsgate
what's
steelbooks have been so neat.
oh yeah, Lionsgates have been great.
Yeah.
What started me on the steelbook journey about 2016. We just moved into our first house in 2015, and I started looking at my collection, and majority was DVD.
Mm.
And I made the decision we were going to upgrade to Blu-ray, and that's when I went to Best Buy one day and I seen the Kill Bill 1 and 2 steelbooks, and immediately fell in love. And I said, okay, if I'm going to be upgrading to Blu-ray, we're going to do it this way. I mean,
Yep.
they're limited edition, they're different types of art. Love it.
Yeah. No, it was that is that Kill Bill Volume 1 with the sword, with the katana
Yes.
on the front.
Yep.
That was what hooked me. Where I was like, dude, if steelbooks can look like this, I am in. So yeah, I got Kill Bill Volume 2, and then yeah, I just started collecting like a madman.
Yep.
And when you said that your primary medium was DVD, I just want to show you my room. So my primary medium is still DVD. I still have over 4,600 DVDs
Jeez.
in my house, and it all that's missing is the Blockbuster sign. And I actually have people here in town that have reached out to me and want to just come and rent movies from me, because ever since the video rental shop that we used to have here closed in 2007, people in town, because it's a small town, people were like, dude, can I rent movies from you? Because we don't have the internet, we don't have stuff, but we want to watch movies. And I'm like, you know what? COVID's kind of hitting. I don't think I want anybody in my house.
Yeah.
We'll wait. Let's wait till everything dies down. But yeah, I might end up renting these out because at least I can make some money back. Um,
I don't think Blockbuster ever had 4,600 titles in stock at one time either.
I don't think so. Well, they usually advertise. They're like, oh, we have 11,000 movies and stuff. No, maybe total,
Yeah.
but not selected, not selection. Yeah. They'll have like 300 copies of Big Daddy, but they won't have anything of 13 Assassins. Um, okay, speaking of 13 Assassins, now when we're scoring the movie, the first thing to talk about is the cast. Now the cast is interesting. This is the first foreign film that I've actually done on Hi-5. And what I do with foreign films is generally I don't know who these guys are. And so I always give a customary 4 points to any foreign film.
Okay.
But for future reference with any of these films, if you recognize the actor by name and face, like you can go, oh yeah, that's Sigourney Weaver. She's been in Copycat, done this and that. That's 2 points. If you recognize the actor by face, but you're not sure of the name, like you're like, oh, that guy was in this movie, but I can't remember his name. It's like Luke something. Then it's 1 point, and that adds up to a maximum of 10.
Okay.
So if you recognize a bunch of people by face but not name, then you can give it 5 points. Or if you recognize the actors, like if you're like, dude, this is The Departed. It's Jack Nicholson. It's Matt Damon. It's Mark Wahlberg. Everybody and their dog. You can go. That's 10 points. We're just going to call it 10 because I know everybody in this movie. And
Yeah, I just
you
had to pull it up on IMDb just so I could actually look at the cast. So
right. Exactly. I'm reading the back of the box going, I don't even want to butcher these names if I try to read them out loud. But yeah, so I automatically give you a 4, but I don't know if there's anybody you recognize from other movies where you're like, I mean, I recognize Miike for sure because I'm like, oh dude, he's like, I love his movies, but I couldn't tell you who these actors were. There's just no.
so of course anybody watches my channel, I love Asian cinema. So my bad point is I can't pronounce their names worth crap. And I recognize a lot of faces, but everybody in here, two of them do stand out to me. I know the face just from seeing them in other
Right.
Asian
So we
movies.
get an extra 1 point for each of those.
So a 6 is about as far as I'm going to go on that.
Okay, excellent. Okay, the next thing is the acting. So this is based on the cast. How do you think the acting was in this movie? And this is scale of 1 to 10. What would you put on it? And this is total. Like, were there you know, I gotta say this was really well done as far as I'm concerned. I love the acting
Yes.
in this. This is one where I don't want to watch it dubbed. I would rather watch it subtitled because you get
Yes.
that an emotion from these guys. Um, but some of the other ones where you're like, oh yeah, it was Denzel Washington, but he kind of phoned it in. Then you kind of lose points for that. So what would you think? What would you put on there on a scale of 1 to 10?
So this is a remake of a 1963 movie, I believe. Of course, I
I think
can't
that's
pronounce the
right.
name of it,
Yeah,
but I would give it a solid 9 as far as acting goes.
nice.
I mean, they're very Takashi Miike is very different, but his directorial style is very precise, and
Hmm.
they do a really good job putting themselves in feudal Japan, I believe.
Yeah, no, I would totally agree with that. The third thing in the first 5 is the plot. And basically, what the plot is I'm going to read the back of the box to you. And based on the back of the box only and not knowing that
Mine doesn't
it's
have a plot on the back.
right. And do you keep the J cards? I was going to ask you that. Do you keep the J cards? No. I keep the J. I trim the border of the J card so as not to get rid of any of the text, and I make it just barely fit in the box.
I started way too early chucking them in the trash, and that was an afterthought about 4 years in. I should have been sliding them on the inside, but it's just a
Yeah,
piece of
once you've already
cardboard.
gotten to that point, you're like, oh, phooey, screw it.
Yep.
Okay, now this one actually says the guy's name, but um, so it kind of spoils it. But it says cult director Takashi Miike Ichi the Killer in Audition, delivers a bravado period action film set at the end of Japan's feudal era. 13 Assassins, a masterful exercise in cinematic butchery from the New York Post, is centered around a group of elite samurai who are secretly enlisted to bring down a sadistic lord in order to prevent him from ascending to the throne and plunging the country into a war-torn future. So, not knowing anything else about this movie, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely would you be to buy and or watch this?
For me, I mean, I'm biased because it's Asian. It's Takashi Miike. I would give it a 10. And
I
it's Juzen Nin no Shukaku is the 63 13 Assassins one.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. I don't even want to repeat that. I would totally butcher that.
Yeah.
But okay. You know, I almost got a teaching job in Japan. Now it's just popped into my head. I was offered a teaching job at a bank. They wanted me to teach English to everybody that worked for this bank. It was Sumitomo Bank. And I was working at a hotel at the time, and I taught a person how to use the phone to make an outside call. Turns out he was the president of the bank.
Ooh.
So he wanted me to teach English to his, because I was so patient and nice and considerate or whatever it was. I thought I was in trouble. I thought the Yakuza was coming after me because there was 2 suited guys came in, and I was like, whoa. But he offered me the job and said, I was like, but I don't know anything. I don't know any Japanese. And they went, we don't want you to know Japanese. If they don't understand you by the end of the class, they don't pass. And I was like, wow, I see the logic in that. Turner fan joined us.
What's up, Turner?
That's my brother. He's on with me every week. That's the problem I had with it, man. I had to watch it dubbed, and I would rather watch it subtitled. Yes,
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that because It Man is a lot better subtitled. There are some where you're like, I don't want to hear these guys talk. I'd rather have it dubbed. I tend to do both. I will sometimes watch it dubbed first so that I get an idea of what it's about, and then I will turn around and watch it subtitled.
Yeah, I had a bad experience with a Jackie Chan movie one time. I watched it dubbed, and it wasn't his voice, and 2, it wasn't even the correct dubbing at all. It wasn't like what he was saying was not what was being said in English.
Was it
So
one
I
of his
swore
older
never
ones,
again.
or?
Yeah. It
Okay.
was
Because I'm the one I'm thinking of is Master with Cracked Fingers. I have that one, and the dubbing on that is awful.
It's either the original Drunken Master or Drunken Master 2. One of them had very, very bad English dubs, like horrible. And I just ever since
Really?
then I was like, I'll never watch anything.
I'll never watch it
again.
dubbed again. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, there's a horror movie that I absolutely love called Cold Prey. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
It's a Norwegian slasher movie, and you don't watch it dubbed because it is you have no idea what's going on if you watch it dubbed, but if you watch it subtitled, it is brilliant. I love that one. So,
Well,
all right,
I think
back
subtitles
to what
keep
we're
you
talking.
more engaged as well. I'm sorry. I just think
Yeah.
subtitles keep you more engaged in the movie as well.
Absolutely. Well, because you're forced to read it, you have to pay attention because you have to not only see what's going on, but you have to read the subtitles to understand the dialogue. So, but yeah, that's the only way you get the real feel for the acting in the movie is by watching it subtitled because you don't get that emotional what the actor was trying to convey emotionally.
Yeah.
All right. So the fourth thing in the first 5 is the ending. So what did you think of the ending of the movie on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm going to give it a 9. It was very fitting. They went out and they did what they wanted to do. It was a little bit shorter than what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be a little more drawn out, and it was not.
Okay. All right. That's fine. That's a good score either way. Yeah, but it's like, with an ending, do you want closure, or would you rather have something open-ended to where you can where you have to like guess as to what's going on? You know how like I'm going to say like No Country for Old Men, how it just kind of ended and it
Yes.
didn't really. It was like, okay, the guy retired, and it was like, okay, what? And I hate to spoil it for anybody, but if you had to have seen it by now, um, do you like that type of ending, or do you prefer having closure and having it actually end,
It
or is it
varies. It
different?
depends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It depends on the movie. This one, I didn't want the fighting to end, basically. And I just felt the
Mm.
final fight scene was just kind of too short.
Oh man. Um, and it's kind of interesting because I think about that too, especially with this movie. Because really, you know, it definitely was not a Hollywood ending.
No.
And what I mean by that, and I think you know what I mean by that, is the good guys absolutely always win. Nobody dies. But they're battling with katana swords, so generally a fight doesn't last very long. it's
No.
it's whoosh, okay, I'm dead. We're done. Unless it's Showdown in Little Tokyo when the sword fight lasts 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Uh, but I still love that movie. Brandon Lee, rest in peace. I
Oh,
absolutely
yeah.
love Showdown in Little Tokyo, but still, when you get the Hollywood ending, you get the really long sword fight at the end, or like Highlander, where it's really it's really drawn out. But they were immortal. I'll let that slide. Um, okay, so the last thing in the first five is the story. Now, when we're talking about the story rating on a 1 to 10, so where the plot is the seed, the story is the forest. So, beginning, middle, and end, were all your questions answered? Were there any holes in the story that affected you? Where you're like, okay, I have a question. What happened to this guy in the movie? Or what was Miike's take on how he was doing this? Did you have any problems like that during the show? And what would you rate that on a 1 to 10?
No, he's pretty straightforward through the whole story. You know what happens to each one of the 13 samurai. I mean, it's really kind of a basic story. There's not really a whole lot of plot to it other than, hey, we're going to go stop this guy. So overall, I would probably give the story itself a 8.
Okay, that's what I gave it. Um, okay, so now we get into, I call it an action movie, of course, and
Yeah.
martial arts, because samurai is martial arts. Um, there's definitely a lot of sword fighting, but we'll get into scoring those as we go along. So the first thing we're looking at with an action movie is the violence. On a 1 to 10, and I'm smiling too. What would you give this on a 1 to 10? If it was Spinal Tap, I'd give it 11. What would you give it on a 1 to
Yeah.
10 scale? How violent was this movie?
Oh, it's definitely a 10. And it's not even one of the most violent Miike movies either.
No,
Um,
it's not. Audition is sick. I
uh,
love
Bl-
Audition.
yeah. And Blade of the Immortal. I don't know if you've ever seen
I
Blade of
have
the
that.
Immortal.
Yeah,
It's as over the top and even more bloody. This
even
is a
more
little
blood.
bit more true. Yeah.
Yes,
I
I
don't
I absolutely agree with that. That's more. I don't want to say cartoon-ish violence, but more kung fu theater violence
yeah.
in Blade of the
Yeah.
Immortal, which I like that movie too. I have that.
Yes.
I have it's Blu-ray. Unfortunately, I don't have the steelbook. I'm sorry, Ryan, but I have the Blu-ray, but it's got a killer slipcover on it. Um,
Is it the
uh,
Arrow edition or is it the
oh
because
no, I don't
Arrow's got
think
a really nice edition.
I don't think I have the Arrow one. I think it's just the basic
Okay.
one, but it's got the
Okay.
the Blade of the Immortal words are embossed in red, and it looks like blood on the outside,
Okay.
and it's pretty cool. I liked it. I think it's cool, but I think it's just the basic U.S. release,
Okay.
whatever it
Yeah.
was. But I found that one with the slipcover, and I hadn't found the slipcover since then. So um, anyway,
But yes, we'll
the
go with 10 on violence. This is a
I
very,
think yeah,
very
like I said,
violent movie.
I don't want to say it's very realistic violence, but it felt more realistic to me, considering
Yeah.
it's feudal Japan and what they were fighting with. When you sever an arm, generally blood doesn't just spray. I'm
No.
guessing. I've never actually severed someone's arm off, but um, it's so yeah. I thought the violence was more realistic here.
Yeah.
It's a very violent movie, and Miike does that in. I can't think of one where he doesn't do some kind of violence. So this
Yeah.
the second the second aspect that I look for in an action movie is the pace of the film. So what did you think of the pace of the film on a 1 to 10 scale?
This
This is like
movie's two
we're
hours and
it's it,
43 minutes long or something, or
it's
2:53.
125, so it's 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Okay, no, I'm thinking maybe Blade of the Mortal was longer.
And I think
So,
Blade of the Immortal's longer.
okay. Um, Pacing is pretty good in it. I mean, once they get into the action, you stay engaged in the action. So I'm going to give it a 9 in pacing. The
Okay,
beginning's a little slow, the end's a little slow, but once they get into the fight, you're in gear.
nice. Just gonna show that.
Yes.
I should have done that with the violence, but yeah, just the sets in here are really cool. I really
Yeah.
like it. But yeah, nice,
Kill
good score.
anybody that gets past me is
Right,
his
and
lines.
don't let anybody don't let anybody out. Nobody gets out.
Yes.
Yeah, but God, yeah, love this movie. It's a good movie. It's so
Oh
good.
yeah.
When you had this as one of your five, I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to talk about this movie. um, the last thing,
I had to stick one Asian cinema in there. I almost went all American. I was like, no, I gotta slot at least one in there if I want to put it in there. It's got to be my favorite samurai movie.
okay, I appreciate that. I like to get a variety, yeah, because when I had Tim Talk Talkies on here, he gave me breakfast at Tiffany's, and I was like, I didn't expect that at all. And and It's a Wonderful Life, which fortunately I had seen that recently, but because that's like the quintessential Christmas movie. But Breakfast at Tiffany's, I had to go break out the VCR to go watch that because I have that on VHS, and but it was fun to do that. But he gave me some curveballs. I was really impressed. And I love that you put 13 Assassins in there. I want kind of deep cuts.
Right.
Um, it doesn't have to be all Jurassic Park and Ghostbusters and stuff like that. But if those are your favorite movies, sure. And you've actually your movies, your list, no one else has done. So
Good.
I
Good.
was I was really happy with this list that you gave me. Um, okay, so the last thing with the action movies is special effects. How did you think the special effects were in this movie? And we
There's
already
really
talked
not a
about kind
whole
of the
lot.
blood. I mean, with the
Yeah.
blood and the the stunts that also comes into play a little bit. Although we're going to break out the stunts in the last aspect, but
Yeah. And
um,
the set is dynamic
this
too because it's
the
all filmed
set,
pretty much in
costume
one location.
design, yeah, all that stuff comes into play. Costume design, set design. You said it felt like feudal Japan to you, so
Yeah.
that's really high marks for
Yeah.
special effects.
Um, Besides the over the top, of course, I mean, I expect that from Mickey to be a little bit over the top with the blood and all that. And I was in the medical field for 15 years. When you do sever somebody's arm off, no, blood does not
It doesn't.
squirt gallons and gallons of blood.
No.
Um, Overall, I would probably, just because of how dynamic the city is, probably give it a 9.
Good.
I mean, it's very, costumes are up to date, or, pretty real. The weapons they use are real. The set design is amazing. That's what I go. 9.
Nice.
We'll give it a 9.
Nice. I like it. Okay. So now we're talking martial arts. Martial arts I break down into two things: the fight scenes and the stunts. So first, let's talk about the fight scenes. And I got to tell you, there's like a 45-minute like battle at the end of this movie, which is it's epic. I mean, it's probably not a long shot, but it reminds me like the whole thing is shot as a long shot
Yeah.
because it's all kind of coming together in like one big monumental bloody scene. Um, so I absolutely loved that. What did you think of the fights in general? Did they, did they feel good? Did they, they didn't look too choreographed. You have to choreograph them, but you know how a fight scene looks really fake. And
Yeah.
um, or what do you like in a fight scene? Do you want to see something more like Kung Fu Theater where they're doing the dance and you know what they're going to do, or do you want something unexpected where they're like, "Oh, I didn't expect him to go this way with the sword and chop the guy's leg off." Um, Do you
I
like the
like
surprise?
both.
Yeah.
I like both. What I like in a martial arts movie is limited number of cuts. Jackie Chan's the best at it. You know, if I'm going to hit somebody, I want to make it look like I hit somebody. I'm not going to cut it 30 times
Yeah.
and you can still tell that I didn't come close to hitting the person. Like, I like more single take stuff. Of course, when you come down to samurai and katana use, samurai are trained a certain way to
Hmm.
certain stances, certain attacks, certain defenses. You know, you can show weakness with a sword, you can feign weakness, you can feign power and stuff like that. So when you look at a sword fight, it should look choreographed in a sense.
Hmm.
Like, it should look like a choreographed dance.
Hmm.
My biggest problem though with this movie, and it's really a small problem, is it's 13 people versus 320 guys.
Yeah.
You're surrounded, and there's just all those opportune times where they should have just dogpiled, and they
Yeah.
never did. So that
And they just
usually
kind
kind
of,
of takes it away from me.
yeah.
But yeah, the flow of it's really good. I mean, you're right. It once it starts, there is that good section where they're going through there, and it's just nonstop, set piece to set piece to set piece, group to group, warrior to warrior.
Hmm.
Um, I would give it a 9.
Nice.
And the only reason I'm taking that point off is just because they are highly outnumbered. But I mean, that's the story, though.
Right. Yeah, it's basically like a Japanese version of 300, really, where it's just
Yes.
um, it's small. Well, and they do this all the time, where it's a small number versus a large number, and the small number
Yeah.
overcomes all the odds or comes close to overcoming the odds. Um, so then the last thing is the stunt work. And this can be with the fights themselves. This can be like anything else. Explosions, and there's not much explosions in here. There's some fire stuff,
Yes.
things like that. So what did you think of the stunt work in here, and what would you give that on a 1 to 10?
Now you said fire. I just remembered about the bulls, the flaming bulls that come running through there. You could tell those were not real.
Yeah.
Um, but stunt work
Yeah.
otherwise, I mean, there is a lot of jumping around, jumping off buildings, jumping between buildings, a lot of, I mean, sword play. I don't know how legit the sword play is, if they used, foam swords or whatever.
Hmm.
But overall, I would probably give it as 9 as well.
Okay.
Yeah, if nobody's seen 13 Assassins, they should easily pick it up. It's an easy way to slide into Miike. Don't go audition first. That was my mistake.
Yeah, I get that. I understand.
Now, a friend of mine was like, "Oh man, you heard Takashi Miike?" I was like, "I think I have." I mean, I was always a Kurosawa fan.
Hmm.
He goes, check out Miike stuff. It's great. And he's named off Blade of the Immortal, 13 Assassins, Audition, Happiness of the Katakuris, Gozu, a whole bunch of different stuff. But Audition was, I think, on a streaming like Netflix or something at the time. And I watched it and I was like, what the hell did he tell me to watch? Like, I was not expecting it because I've
Right.
never, I'm not a horror person. And I definitely have never watched any Japanese horror, J horror. So it like blew me away. Of course,
Yeah.
then I went and watched everything else by him. So
Right. Right. And and I was just thinking of Ichi the Killer, and Ichi the Killer is very bloody. It's
yes,
very, very over the top.
yeah,
Um, but that's good. Good first round.
all right.
All right. As we get into our second movie, second question for the hot seat is: what is your favorite snack and or beverage for movie watching?
Man, if I'm at home, I'm usually drinking water and maybe eating a box of Raisinets. Yeah, stay hydrated.
Yep.
I'm telling. One of these
I
days, I want to make a
I
montage
I
of all my
I
drinking.
I do have beer, but that's different reason. But
But if I'm at a theater, I mean, it's just straight up a Coke or Dr Pepper and a big bucket of popcorn. That's the only time I eat popcorn is at the movie theater.
nice. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'll make popcorn here every once in a while, but yeah, it's popcorn, and If I can get it, iced tea at the theater, but there's only one theater that's close by that does that. Otherwise, it has to be Pepsi Zero. Um, and then, but at home, it's chocolate covered banana chips. That's my go-to snack if I have them. I get them in bulk at the grocery store. Again, that's an hour
Okay.
drive, so when I make a day of it, I get like 2 or 3 pounds of it, and I put it in the freezer. And then I take a handful and just put it in a little bowl, and I snack on that, drink some iced tea, and watch whatever I want to watch. So, got my Atmos speakers going on, and just have a good time. All right, that's awesome. Let's get into our second movie, and that movie is Shaun of the Dead. Again, you have the steel. I I have the 3 pack on
Yeah.
Blu-ray. Um, but I got to say, as far as I'm concerned, and I don't know if you agree, but there was no such thing as a zomcom until this movie.
No. And there's
And since this
been,
movie, there's been a lot of zombie movie comedies, like
yeah, and
Zombieland, Warm Bodies, Last of the Living is
Scouts,
one that's a kind of an indie
Scouts
one. Yeah,
Guide
Boy
to the
Scouts Guide to the
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse. Yeah. Um,
Yeah. None of them,
there's
none of
yeah.
them are as good as Shaun is Dead, though.
Yeah, no, Shaun of the Dead is it's the one that everything's based on. When Turner Fan and I did our top 10 horror movies, and we were talking about American Werewolf in London, and we're like, this is the werewolf movie. And same type of thing. Shaun of the Dead is the zombie comedy, and all other zomcoms are compared to this. Every time I watch a
Yeah.
zomcom, I'm always like, was this as good as Shaun of the Dead? Usually the answer is no. Zombieland
Yeah.
is close though. I think Zombieland's a close second for me.
Yeah.
All right,
The first time I watched Zombieland, it was great. Double Tap,
Double Tap. Yeah, I was kind of. I liked it.
nostalgic.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. But it
I
wasn't like
liked it. I liked seeing
definitely
the
not as good
cast
as the first
back,
one.
and I liked seeing Luke Wilson, and some of the other people. I was like, okay, I like
Yeah.
the new stars that was in it. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't get much out of the story. Where
Yeah.
the original Zombieland, there was more like going on, or more of a story, more of a
Yeah.
background, and with Bill Murray and all that. And I just didn't get that feel like I did with the first movie.
Yeah.
Um, but okay, so let's talk about cast. Technically, this is a British film, but I don't do the foreign 4 point thing unless you don't know anybody out of this cast. Which I mean Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. If you're not familiar with those guys,
Yeah.
then we can go the basic four. But at least I was like, I know those two, so I can definitely give it that score. So of the cast, who do you know by face and name? And you are welcome to take the four if because it is not a U.S. release.
I'm trying to think. So I definitely knew who Simon Pegg was.
Hmm.
I think this was my first Edgar Wright movie I ever seen, if I remember
Okay.
correctly. And I knew who Simon Pegg was from Spaced because I did watch the TV show.
Hmm.
Uh, and I really don't remember if Nick Frost was on there a whole lot. So I knew Simon Pegg. I knew who Nick Frost was just from something. And then I can never remember his name. It's Peter Serafinowicz. I don't know. He plays Pete, Shawn's girlfriend's boyfriend.
I think that's the one where I know his face but not his name. Yeah, Peter
Yeah, yeah.
Serafinowicz. Yeah, I'm like I know.
I know the
Um,
face,
I know the
don't know the
face,
name. Yeah.
and I'm just gonna double check before I go and yeah, he was in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes. Yeah, he was
Um,
the Nova Corps commander.
yeah, he was the Nova Corps commander. Uh,
So that's an 8. I'll give it an 8.
okay,
Because I want to say I knew his girlfriend too from something, but I really am not sure.
okay.
I just realized I have 2 Edgar Wright in my 5.
Oh, see, that's interesting because Yeah, I've had stuff like that too, to where people are like, oh, like when I had Turner Fan 77 pick his 5 favorite comedies. 3 of them were Jason Bateman, and he didn't even realize it until I'm like, 3 of these are Jason Bateman movies. Um, okay, so 8 for cast.
Yeah,
What did you think of the acting in the movie? And comedic acting is a little bit different. You're not thinking Oscar, but you're thinking, okay, was it funny? Did I like how the characters acted? Was it, you know, I don't want to say, don't give it a 4 because it's basically a comedy,
right.
but um but what did you think about
So
the acting?
here's my caveat. I normally don't like British humor at all. Definitely
Yeah.
not British TV shows,
Yeah.
but I love Guy Ritchie and all the stuff he does, and I
Yeah.
love Edgar Wright. So I found the acting in that. I mean, it feels kind of low budgety. So I'm going to say probably a 7 on the acting.
Hmm.
It's not like the greatest, but it's not the worst either.
Yep. Yep, same score I gave him. Um all right. So let's go to the plot. I'm going to read the box. There comes a day in every man's life when he has to get off the couch and kill some zombies. When flesh eating zombies are on the hunt for a bite to eat, it's up to slacker Shawn and his best pal Ed to save their friends and family from becoming the next entree. Okay. Novelist Stephen King gushes Shaun of the Dead as a 10 on the fun meter and destined to be a cult classic.
He was
um,
not wrong.
he was not wrong. Okay, so based on that, not knowing who is in it, not knowing anything else about it, based on that read, how likely would you be to watch and or buy the movie on a scale of 1 to 10?
Probably a 9. I loved
Okay.
Stephen King when I was growing up, reading the books and all that. So if I would have seen his seal of
So if he was like,
approval
"Oh,
on
he
it,
thought it was fun," yeah, okay,
yeah.
I'm down for that. Okay, now let's go to the ending. What did you think of the ending of this? Did you
Kind
get
of
the
felt
closure
like
you
the
wanted? Did
mist. No, I did. I was happy to see that Ed did not get killed. Spoiler alert if you've never seen Shaun of the Dead. No, I really
Yeah,
like because it's kind of a social commentary. It's a relationship movie. It's a rom com,
yeah, it's a
and
rom
in the
com
end,
with
the good
Zom.
guy, yeah, the good
Hmm.
guys in the end kind of do win. So I thought the ending
Yeah,
was actually pretty good on it. I
yeah.
would say the ending of it would be a 10.
All right, nice.
Hey, Adam and
Okay.
Dale, by the way.
Oh yeah, Adam, dude. Sorry about that. I'm all looking at pictures and posters and stuff. It's okay, Adam.
I
Gonna
wonder who
display
won the
all your
battle.
stuff. Hope you're both doing great. We're doing good. You're both amazing. Thanks, bro.
You're amazing,
Uh,
Adam.
you're amazing. You're awesome. I loved our high 5. It was great. We did the original Dawn of the Dead
That's right.
with
Adam was
Adam.
the other high five I watched.
Okay.
There's so much YouTube to consume, and you just get overwhelmed with everything you watch. It's hard to remember everything.
Hmm.
And I try to watch as much as I can. I want to, try to support everybody the best I can, and you know,
Yeah.
I don't always
What's up,
comment,
Dell?
but I always hit the like button.
Good. That's awesome. I try to comment whenever you put your pictures up for your steelbooks. I always try to comment, and usually it's like jealous.
Yeah,
Where
you, and like,
where you at again? What's your address? Let
yeah,
me stop by. Let me break in. Let me just check your stuff out.
yeah. There's you and 2 other guys always comment on them. Like one guy's like always fire, which I think he's in Spain or Brazil or somewhere, so I don't know what their
Okay.
access to steelbooks are.
Mm,
All right, I'm sorry, we're getting off track.
that's okay. I'm okay with that. Okay, story for Shaun of the Dead. Beginning, middle, and end. How did the story play out? Did you have any holes? Was there anything that you were like, eh? Or what would you give that on a 1 to 10?
So the beginning, again, social commentary about how everybody's zombies. You don't recognize what's going on around you. Leads into the zombie apocalypse. Um, it's got a good middle. They make it to the Winchester. They have no plan, and it ends in a good way because the military comes in and saves them. So I want to give it a 9 as well on story.
Okay. All right.
I mean, there might be one or two little plot things, like when they run into the group that looks like them. Like, where did they come from? Where they been at the whole time? And then what happened to them afterwards?
Yeah. Did they need to be in there? Was that you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was
I think
funny.
it was more of a
but
sight gag than anything, and just a callback to because doesn't she makes a comment about him still being in love with the one girl, doesn't she? If I remember correctly.
yeah, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think it was just basically a sight gag and a callback. So it really
Mhm.
wasn't like that important.
Yeah, and it's interesting when you mention that because Zombieland Double Tap did the same thing.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
And then I've got to put the picture up since we were talking about stuff. This
Yeah.
is what got me for this movie. This was in the trailer, and this is what hooked me. When I see them go dibbity 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 di, and they look over, dibbity dibbity dibbity, and it's like you totally did that wrong. I was like, making fun. I was like, dude, I was like, oh man, I gotta watch this movie.
That and then the car scene whenever they've rescued his mom and dad and he's been
Mhm.
bitten and they play the
Yeah,
heavy metal music
and
and he
he's all,
gets up and
yeah,
it turns it off.
yeah.
Oh, and the Queen scene in the Winchester when they're beating the bar owner, how it's all
Oh,
synchronized.
okay, yeah, yeah. See, I love it when they tie the music in like that.
Have
That's really
you?
cool.
There's I don't know if the copy you have. There's a behind the scenes on my copy where Edgar Wright talks about that scene, and they worked for days to get it perfect, where it was synced to where it looked
Mm,
really, really good with the music.
yeah, I mean, I know there's special features on it. I don't think I've seen it. I don't think I've watched the special features, but I've probably seen the
Well,
movie
it's
like
just got
half
a
a dozen
Laserdisc
times.
disc in it.
Yeah,
Of course, I've got actually.
yeah, because I've got the three. It's got Hot Fuzz, World's End, and Shaun of the Dead in one pack. Because I was like, dude, that's a great world. Nice. Is that another steelbook?
2 steelbooks. Yeah, that's another steelbook. I got
Nice.
steelbooks all around me.
Yeah. See that Blu-ray disc looks like mine, so that's probably the same transfer.
Yeah.
All right. So getting into it. So this is a comedy. And I do like the fact that it's kind of a rom-com, but I didn't go rom-com. I went zom-com. So it's comedy is the genre, zombie is the type. So first things first, humor. How funny was the movie on a 1 to 10?
I thought it was very funny. Like I said, again, I
You're not a
don't get
British
into
comedy
British
fan, so
stuff,
yeah.
but I
Um,
was laughing. I found myself laughing at a bunch of little stuff, and especially Nick Frost. Just the little, you know, oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about, oh my God.
yeah.
The little
His
man
subtle,
child
yeah,
humor.
yeah,
Yeah. I thought it
yeah.
was funny. And then just the little, when they get to the Winchester the first time before the zombie outbreak, and he's
Mm,
making the story up for all the individual people in the bar, just the
hmm
little stuff like that. The story building is just fun.
Okay,
So, comedy, I would give it a 10. I think it's a funny movie.
nice. Okay, the second thing for the comedy genre I look for is the chemistry between the cast. Because you can tell if it's a comedy, but the cast really doesn't get along, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't feel right. What did you think of the chemistry between these guys?
Uh,
Not just Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, but everybody. Because I mean, those two guys, I think they came out of the same womb. They were two peas
yeah.
in a pod for sure. But what do you think about the rest? And how did that go together?
No, so yeah, I mean, of course, I mean, it'd be 10 if it was just Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, but even his
Right.
girlfriend has good chemistry with them. They make it feel like they're in a relationship.
hmm
Her
The
bratty friend and her snobbish boyfriend
mhm.
definitely, they feel real, and you can see the animosity between Shawn and him because he knows that he's in love with Shawn's girlfriend, and
Nice.
uh, the mom and dad seem believable. Um, Overall, I'd say 9.
Ryan, we always get off track. Yeah, that's totally true.
I would say 9
So
though.
Side Hustle
There's
is
yeah, he's in there. Hey,
nice. Side
uh,
Hustle. Hey,
yeah, hey everybody, how's it going?
Movie
He's
Hunter
I
2020.
don't think he must be
Thanks for
watching
jumping.
from work. I think
Nice, good group.
there's
You
I mean, like I
you said
said,
9 for the chemistry, so yeah,
yeah,
nice.
there's a couple just little out of place things, like again, them running into their themselves. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Hmm. Nice. Okay. And the third thing that I look for is a script. I like a good script with a comedy. So make there be a point, and then I usually kind of use the acting and the story, how those two combined kind of tells me how the script is. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think the script was for this?
I think it was pretty good. I'm going to go with the 9 on it. There could have
Okay.
just, one or two little tweaks here. I know Andrew Wright trusts Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, and they do a lot of ad libbing and changing in the script as it goes on.
Hmm.
So they're very fluid, which I like that about, I love when a director can trust his actors and let them play with the script and that and make an even better story. But yeah, I'd say 9.
Okay. Nice. As a zombie movie, there's two things that I look for. One is the zombies themselves. How do they look? And then I like a little bit of gore. I like a little bit of have the zombie vomit or do some weird stuff that's kind of nasty because they're dead. So I want maybe like broken bones or stuff like that. So first things first, what did you think of the zombies in this movie on a 1 to 10?
Traditional Romero slow zombies. And I thought they were well done.
Yeah,
Did we really? Yeah, I guess we did see one or two characters actually change into zombies. There was
right,
the one that he hit on the bike or something.
right. There was the
Oh
the
no, he was
this
already a zombie.
yeah, there was a stepdad. He
Yeah, the step.
changed.
Okay, yeah, the
Yeah,
stepdad, and then yeah, Nick Frost's character. So yeah,
yeah.
the zombies overall, a traditional zombie, they were pretty good. I would say probably a 9.
Okay.
Um, the makeup on them was good, but some of them I think looked too real. But then again, the zombie apocalypse just started, and we don't really know what zombies would look like. So
Yeah, and then yeah, if it just started, maybe they haven't, like it's so many years. Like if you're any type of Walking Dead fan, like I am, they've gone like so many years down the road. So there's zombies that are just like stuff's falling off
yeah,
of them, and you just see ribs and a skull, and that's it. Um, Side Hustle says Shaun of the Dead did a great job at walking a fine line of comedy without being a spoof. Yes,
yeah.
very very good point. Um, okay,
I mean, you
so
could almost call it a spoof, honestly, but it's
yeah,
not really a spoof.
yeah, I actually called it a spoof originally when I first cataloged it. I cataloged it as a spoof movie, and Dell goes, "I think it's absolutely a spoof."
Yeah,
So I actually categorized it as a spoof because, like we talked about, there weren't really any zombie comedies like that back then.
yeah.
Um, and what this is 2004 when it came out. So, but since then it's kind of become its own thing. So the zombie comedy is actually a thing now. Whereas originally, oh, it's a spoof on a zombie movie, is what it felt like when I first watched it.
Like
Um,
if it didn't have the social commentary about how people are living like zombies, if it didn't have the rom com
right.
and the action adventure aspect to it too, then yeah, I would 100% say it's a spoof. But I think
Yeah.
it's right there. It's a very 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 fine
Yeah.
line.
No. Yeah. Totally good point. Okay. Now I know there's not a whole lot of gore in this movie, but there is, um, like I'm just gonna say people getting hit with cricket bats and shotguns and
Records.
records and stuff like that. So, what did you think
Uh,
of the gore or blood effects of with
I
this
mean,
with
yeah,
this
there
movie?
really wasn't a whole lot because there's the polo pole through Colin from Whose Line Is It Anyway? I forgot he was in the movie, so that's another one that I remembered. Um, There was the biker he hit that had the broken leg that they showed.
Yeah.
Pete gets eaten by the zombies. Mom gets bitten. There's quite a few cricket bats and shovels.
Hmm.
I mean, overall, it really wasn't gory for a
No.
zombie movie.
No.
So I would probably say 7. It was done.
Okay.
It was done well, but there really isn't a whole lot of
It's
gore.
not. Yeah, because I'm looking at a zombie movie, and I'm just gonna bring up Dawn of the Dead because Adam and I talked about that a few weeks ago. Um, and okay, what was that? The Record Scene Rocks.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the first album
and
I ever
that was
bought.
the first album I ever bought. Yeah, because I remember.
Yeah, then he
But
starts asking him, "How about this? How about this?"
no, say that. Yeah, throw that one. Um, I love the picture when they're like down and they look over and takes a picture of them. That just
Yes.
cracks me up. Okay, so yeah, and I kind of felt the same way that there wasn't a lot of gore in it, but what blood and stuff they did have was well placed. It
Yeah.
wasn't over the top. I mean, Dawn of the Dead, I'm like, dude, they're like pulling intestines out of a guy, and that's like, that's a 10 for me. That's what I want in a zombie movie, like gore wise. But it's a comedy, so it's supposed to be funny and not so much gory. But then, you get Zombieland, and a lot of that was CGI, but Zombieland actually had a lot more gore in it, um,
Yeah.
which was cool.
Ding 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 ding.
Yep.
I love that the supermarket scene. Don't swing! Don't swing! Don't swing! Swing!
Swing. I love the gun. He's
Oh
standing
yeah.
there, rings the bell, and thing comes running. Bang! Zombie kill of the
Yep.
week? Nope, it was the piano.
Yes.
um, love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Sister Anne from the whatever.
yeah, from the whatever monastery or whatever. Nice. All right. All right. Moving into number 3. What would be your favorite genre if you had to pick one?
Action. I think I prefer action over anything. I mean, you give me a samurai movie, a martial arts movie, a John Wick, anything like that. I'll on it all day.
Nice. Do you have a favorite American-based martial arts movie that you like?
Probably the Ip Man series. It's really good.
Well, I mean it's Chinese, but yeah,
Well,
I love it, man. But I mean, yeah, it's
okay.
Americanized.
Okay, if you want to go, well, I mean, he spent time in America.
Yeah.
So honestly, let's go with Birth of the Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, because a lot of
Okay.
that takes place in America. That's probably one of
Okay.
my more favorite.
Okay.
The Ninja Trilogy is not bad. It's cheesy as hell from like the late 80s,
Oh,
early
with
90s,
Scott
but
Atkins.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I
it's.
like those.
I remember
It's
watching that
it's
late night. I think it used to be on
it's
like
just
TNT or something at like 11
yeah.
at night.
Then they have the Michael Dudikoff, the American Ninja
Oh yeah,
movies. Those were. I mean, he didn't seem to know a lick of martial arts, but it was it was fun to watch. I mean, it was Danielson
yeah,
doing ninja stuff.
yeah.
Um, but
Karate
I
Kid too. I guess yeah. Karate Kid's
yeah
what got me started in the martial arts path, and then I've
yeah
seen like I watched
yeah.
Karate Kid. I immediately wanted to go do karate. My mom wouldn't let me do it, and then I got a hold of Police Story, Jackie Chan, and that just
The stunts in there
accelerated
are so good. Yeah. Oh
insane.
God, I love the stunts in that movie. Jackie, I was hooked on Jackie from the beginning. But yeah, I got to say, well, my favorite of his is Super Cop for sure.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
but my 8 American based, I gotta throw my hand to Perfect Weapon with Jeff Speakman
okay,
because he does the Kempo karate, and man, it was really good. Unfortunately, he did like one other movie after that, and then I didn't hardly see him except in like cheesy sci-fi disaster films. But yeah, he owns his Kenpo studio and he does like 15 of them nationwide. But and he's doing great for himself. I'm happy
Yeah,
for that. But yeah, that would be probably my favorite of
yeah.
the
Dale,
American-based martial arts
yeah.
cinema.
I didn't even think of that. Dale just said Mark for Death. Steven Seagal, like his first three movies, I like Above the Law, Mark
Yeah,
for Death,
Above
and
the Left, Mark for Law. And I liked Under Siege, but I don't know if I wouldn't call
yeah,
that a martial arts movie. Um,
no,
it was more
and
of a just it
then
was an
Jean,
straight up action
yeah,
movie.
and then Kickboxer, Bloodsport. I love Jean Claude Van Damme. I like him more than
Yeah,
I like
I
Steven Seagal.
yeah. When you get those Last Dragon, yeah, sure enough, I like Last Dragon. Last Dragon is so fun. So I like Big Trouble in Little China. Kind of along those same lines. You get a little magic, a little special effects and
Yeah,
stuff. But there's
Showdown in
some
Little Tokyo.
Showdown in Little
Which
Tokyo.
you,
You get
yeah,
some great. I mean, pretty much had the same stunt guys, same martial arts actors in both of
yeah,
those. You got James Liu and Tiger Chong and a few other people. But yeah, man, I like those two. I usually tag team Big Trouble in Little China with Showdown in Little Tokyo. I'll watch those two together. Um, but yeah, God, man, there's so many. Rapid Fire with Brandon Lee.
yeah.
May he rest. That was really fun to watch with Powers Booth and. I like Mark Dacascos, and he did one called Only the Strong, and
Yeah.
it's a little cheesy, but it brought to life the capoeira, the Brazilian martial art, and that was really fun to watch. Um, but yeah, I like them, but there's such a difference between the Asian martial arts movies and
Oh
the
yeah.
American martial arts movies. So that's why I wanted to ask. I know you like the Asian movies, and I'm that way too. I mean, it's basically martial arts and horror. Those are the Asian movies that I like. I'll take either one all day long. All right, so action movies are your bread and butter. So let's go to your third movie, which is Lost in Translation. This is the one that I had not seen until today. So, and I bought this $6.99 on on Amazon. I got a good deal on it.
You don't want to know how much I paid for this steelbook. This is a
I,
super
I,
limited edition from Zavi.
I was gonna say I don't want to know how much you paid. I do not have. I actually ordered my first Zavi Steelbook. I don't have it yet. Ordered my first one. Um,
This is my single released most expensive steelbook I've ever purchased, and it came from the Czech Republic or some Czech Republic or something like that. It was not cheap.
I was gonna say that sounds like a pretty penny.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I
I'm.
think on the Zavi exclusives, I think they only print like 2,000 of them or
Mm,
1,800 or something like that. So there's not many of those in existence.
nice. Okay, so Lost in
And I
Translation
think
is from 2003, and let's go ahead and jump into the cast. Who do you
um,
who do you know?
Giovanni
Again, two.
Ribisi, Scarjo, Bill
Uh,
Murray, and man, who is there? There's a fourth person in there. I'm
I
gonna
know
give
the
it a
fourth person
9.
is for me. Okay, so yeah, it's two for each person that you know,
Yeah.
and then one if you remember a face but not a name. Um, okay, so 9 for that,
Oh, so two
and
two for each one I know, starting at 4. So
no, not
I
starting
know.
at 4. Only starting at 4 if it's foreign. You
Oh, okay,
start
that's
you
right. That's
start
right.
at
Two
0.
six.
Um,
Give me a second here. Let me
okay,
IMDb this thing.
okay, because the other one I know is Anna Faris.
Yeah, on a
Um,
Ferris. That was it. Okay, so yeah,
so I
so
so I
there's
was at
8.
8. Yeah.
Yeah, 8. Yeah,
Okay.
I knew there was another blonde in there, and I couldn't remember who it was. But yeah,
Yeah.
on a Ferris.
I got to say, her character was horrible in that movie,
Yes.
but I liked her, and I got to say, I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad I got a chance to watch it. I'm glad I have it in my collection. I have to say, personally, I didn't love the movie, but I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was a little slow for me, but I dug. I laughed out loud with a couple of parts. It was like, dude.
Yeah,
I'm just
Dell's on
gonna
the same
say
page.
it was the God. What is that machine? The when he's in the workout room and he's doing the elliptical
Oh yeah, yeah,
and he screams for help. I burst out laughing.
yeah. I was gonna say I think Dell's on the same page with it. He said he saw it last year and he liked it but didn't love it. I don't know what it is about this movie that I mean I the first time I watched it, I just fell in love with it. I think it's because I love Japan. Like I want to go to Japan. That's my
Mhm.
ultimate goal in life is I want to go to Japan. And to see this elder man and this young woman have an alienated relationship in a foreign country, and it's not about love, it's not about lust or anything like that. It's just about two people spending time together because they don't know what else to do, and
Mhm.
it's just a fun time. And I, I just love the movie. I don't know what it is about it,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
No, makes sense. Um, okay, so we're to the acting in the movie. What would you give the acting on a 1 to 10 scale?
I mean, there's really only four actual actors in here, and
And then yeah, and then a whole bunch of Japanese people that you're
yes,
like, okay, I would, well, I just from my opinion watching because when it got to that part where they just went on a night on the town and they were all over Tokyo. They did the whole karaoke thing. They were with Charlie Brown, whoever that dude was, and they were doing all the stuff. And I'm going, okay, this is like it's like these guys aren't actors. These were like real people that ScarJo and Bill Murray just went out and like met these people and just went and did stuff and they filmed it. It was they just seemed like genuine like people that weren't acting or anything.
yeah,
And
yeah. So
I kind of enjoyed that.
yeah, I don't know how. I need to see if there's any kind of like special features about that because I don't know. Like filming, United States, if you want to shut down a section to do filming, you got to get permits and
Yeah,
sign affidavits and hire people and blah blah blah. And I'm wondering if a lot of those people just were actual
they were just there.
Japanese people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I felt like. And with like that big intersection where they were all walking across the
yeah.
street and stuff, they can't close that for very long. It's just
No,
they're
no.
so they had to be like real people, and they were just standing there and they were talking to all these guys, and I was just like, wow, that was I thought that was cool. That was like one of my favorite parts was them
And
just talking to some regular Japanese people and trying to just getting over the language barrier and just having fun.
yeah. And from watching a lot of, like I said, Asian cinema, I've noticed that background people just like actually staring. So they're not paid actors. So I'm
Hmm.
really thinking if you're in another country, it's very hard to shut down a shooting area.
Hmm.
But as far as acting goes, Giovanni Ribisi, I have always liked him,
Hmm.
but he's just kind of a hard ass in
It's
it.
just kind of there. Yeah, it was really just kind of, oh, he's the husband and he just kind of does his own
Yeah,
thing. And
yeah,
yeah, I didn't get a whole lot from him in
he was
that.
a plot point more than anything. And like you said
Yeah.
about Anna Faris, she was just kind of just there also. The
Yeah.
movie really does focus on ScarJo and Bill Murray,
Yep.
but so overall, taking into consideration all the Japanese people, I would say 7 on acting.
Okay.
Because it
Where
is a
was
little
I?
chaotic sometimes, and I mean, you really trying to focus on just the two main people.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're talking about like people staring at the camera and stuff, and there's one particular scene when I guess they're in a hospital, some kind of medical center, checking on her toe,
Yeah,
and he's talking to this old man sitting next to him, and there's two ladies sitting behind him, and they are laughing their ass off.
yeah,
And I'm like, okay, they are either breaking character or they're just like regular people going, okay, these guys are funny. Whatever the heck's going on. I don't know what the old guy was saying, but it was hilarious.
yeah. There's
Uh,
another scene. I think they're on the street. I think she purchases something, a food item or something, and there's a lady in the background that's sweeping, and she's just like sweeping, staring right at him, like what are you guys doing?
What are you guys doing? Why is there a camera? Who are you guys? So Tim showed up. What's up, guys? Sorry I'm late. Catch it when I mess on the replay. Join
I
live
still want
now
to
at
know who
least.
won the battle.
Who won the battle? Wait, I watched and voted on the first round, and then I had to drop off. But yeah, I'll go catch the replay. But yeah, now I wouldn't mind a spoiler, Tim. Wink, wink, nudge,
Okay,
nudge.
we're on
We're
Lost
on
in
Lost in
Translation.
Translation. So yeah, we're on movie number 3. So then yeah,
Yes.
we're about halfway done. Okay. Let's go to the plot.
I love your lamp, your lighted magnifier. I'm gonna have
And
to get me
light,
one of those before too long.
it comes in so handy when you're 52, bro. Because I'm like, there's no way I can read this right now.
Yeah.
So, but nice little light, and it changes kind of like a ring light. I can make it softer or whatever, but
Oh, that's nice.
but yeah, I like it. So Bob Harris and Charlotte are 2 Americans in Tokyo. Bob is a movie star in town to shoot a whiskey commercial, while Charlotte is a young woman tagging along with her workaholic photographer husband. Unable to sleep, Bob and Charlotte cross paths one night in a luxury hotel bar. This chance meeting soon becomes a surprising friendship as they venture through Tokyo, having often hilarious encounters with its citizens and ultimately discover a new belief in life's possibilities.
Okay, so I'm gonna score this as if I don't just love Asian cinema, and I would probably look at it and be like, okay, that sounds interesting. The cast looks okay. So I'd probably give it like a 7, I would say. Now, if I was scoring it from I love Asian cinema, it'd be like a 9. But I'm gonna save face and say it's a 7 because that
Okay.
really doesn't sound that interesting, honestly. But you see Bill Murray, you see Scarlett Johansson, you're like,
Yeah.
okay, there.
I'm like, oh, hey, Scarlett Johansson. And like, what, 19 years ago, Scarlett Johansson? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. And I remember the movie first starts and it's panties. It's a woman laying on her side in the bed and it's panties and you can see through. And I'm just saying,
Yes.
I was instantly like, oh, that's Scarlett Johansson. I was
Yes.
like, and man, my daughter's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, pretty sure. um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's interesting that it started like that. And but yeah, like I said, there's a few parts where I was just laughing out loud. But yeah, I wasn't really into Giovanni Ribisi. Like you said, they were plot points. Giovanni Ribisi
Yeah.
and Anna Faris were just kind of. I got like the impression that maybe they were going to do some kind of jealousy thing with Anna Faris and Giovanni Ribisi with ScarJo, but they like abandoned. Then it was just got normal.
Yeah.
But I think what I liked was, like you said, it wasn't about love or lust or anything like that. It was about friendship. It was about meeting someone who was kind of in the same boat. They didn't know what to
Yeah.
do. They couldn't sleep. So let's hang out and just see what we can do. And I enjoyed that. Okay, so let's go to the ending. What did you think of the ending?
Of course, he whispers something in her ear. Nobody
Right.
knows except for
I
them
don't know what he
two.
says. Do you know what he says in that? Because I was
No.
like, what does he say to her? Because she's like
There's
almost in
been
tears.
Yeah, there's been speculation, and if I remember correctly, Bill Murray actually improv that. And I think there's been speculation, like he says, everything's going to be okay, or it's going to be okay, or you're going to make it. Something encouraging to her that she
Something
needs to,
encouraging, yeah.
yeah, that she needs to take a hold of her life, get away from him, and live her life because he's just shown her over this, last few nights that she can be her own person. But yeah, I mean, it ends in a very open way, and I really did like it. So I'd give it probably a 9 on the ending.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of YouTube videos about we've slowed it down to 10x the speed and read lips, and we got a professional linguist in here, and he said it's like, and Bill Murray's like, I'm never going to tell you what I told her. She's never going to say what I told her. And the director is the only other person, Sophia Coppola is the only other person that knows what was said. So
Okay, so this is what I found. As it happens, the scene is always intended to be improvised, and in the final moments, Murray approached Johansson and fatefully uttered, "I have to be leaving, but I won't let that come between us."
Okay. So I haven't heard. I don't think I've heard that one.
And I haven't heard that either. So well, that was the first time I looked it up, and that's kind of what it. And it's coming from Far Out Magazine, so I don't know how accurate that is or whatever. But that seems I do know, and he said okay at the end, and I did catch that. Um, but yeah, it was definitely something encouraging, and I don't know, I got like a father daughter vibe
Yeah.
from him.
Yeah.
More so than anything else. And the first thing I thought was, oh, please don't let this be an affair. Don't let them shtuck in the movie because it wouldn't work for me. I would be so, I was mad enough because he did have an affair, but I was like, don't let that be with ScarJo. Let that be a friendship and let that grow as that. And
Yeah.
so I was a fan that Sofia Coppola went that route instead
She's
of.
a she's amazed me as a director. I've
Mhm.
watched several of her movies, and I've been just blown away with her directing and writing. Virgin
Oh,
Suicides.
yeah. Sorry, Jared won. And that's what we
Yeah.
called it too. We
Yeah.
we called it, but he won in the last round with Star Trek over Scarface. I'm kind of interested in what the question was.
Yeah. A movie that starts with S. All right.
That's funny. Okay, so let's go to the story. What do you think of the story here?
I mean, there's really nothing to it. It's literally just two people that randomly. No, question was the best remake. Okay,
Best remake. Okay.
that's
Dell had
I
to
can see
pipe in.
that.
Thanks,
Star
Dell.
Trek's really never not. I
I,
think you pulled Star Trek, and you were the first time to pull Star Trek.
yeah.
Well, at
And
least
I
that
and,
version of
and I
Star
pulled
Trek.
it as like time manipulation.
Yeah,
Because yeah, I mean it's not a reboot. It's not a remake. It's a reboot. But
yeah.
um, it, because it changes the timeline. It's like the whole thing is about and
Just schematic.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
semantics.
As far as the plot goes, I mean, there's really not a big plot to the story. It's basically two different
Yeah,
people in a foreign country that just happen to be both from America. And hey, let's go do stuff.
right, right. But yeah,
The
like
the
beginning, middle, and end. Like how you know I don't know they grew as characters and things. It was I don't know. I gotta say I liked the story, but I didn't love it personally. Um, She said the same thing. I said the same reboot comment in the chat. I also said it's semantics. Yeah, right? So yeah, totally on the same page. I'm like, that's not a remake. Scarface, okay, but I don't. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
but yeah. I mean, they did kind of they grew together. But did Giovanni learn any lessons? Did
or
was
Anna
anything
Faris?
really?
Did they?
Yeah, and,
Yeah, it was really about. I think Bill Murray's character learned a lesson. I think
yeah,
he did. Um, I think his character grew the most in the movie. That's kind of that was kind of my thought. I thought Scarlett Johansson was great, and
well,
and
yeah. I mean,
but she was basic.
he's
She was indecisive, and he kind of helped her
yeah,
come to the right conclusion. Like if you're not, and this is something that I tell my kids. I said you have every right to be happy. You don't need to be miserable in a relationship. If
yeah,
you're miserable, then see if you can fix it. If you can't, then you get out and don't. This is not the age where divorce is taboo. You can go, okay, I think we're good. Let's go ahead. Let's get a divorce. I'm not mad. I'm just this. I'm not happy, and I think people have every right to be happy in a relationship. And I
and
I
he's
go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. And he's an aged wine advertiser, or not wine, whiskey advertiser that really is just there for the money and
Yeah,
a
he
job.
he got paid $2 million to do
Yeah,
to do a whiskey commercial. I'd be like, "Where's that whiskey at? I'll I'll drink the hell out of that for $2 million."
and he's lonely, and it really, you're right, he did grow from that because he realized that he can make a relationship with somebody that can help him on in life.
Yeah.
Now, overall, the plot, I would say probably seven. There's
Okay.
not a whole lot to it, but I still think it is kind of good.
Yeah.
I,
Well, this is like, you didn't have any questions at the end. Did everything
yeah,
come together? Everything was answered. I mean, all the questions were answered, but on the bad side, there weren't that many questions.
yeah,
So it was really simple. It was these two guys, in Tokyo in a strange place, um, finding friendship and finding some kind of growth as people. Okay, so now let's talk about. So I have this listed as a drama. I know IMDb, says comedy drama. So I usually kind of go by that, and I'm like, I don't think it's that much. It's funny, so I went drama first and then comedy because there are
yeah.
comedic aspects to the movie.
Yeah, and I think the only reason they said comedy was because Bill Murray's in it. They just
Yeah,
assume that it's going to
they
be
say, "Oh, it's
comedic.
Bill Murray, so it's got to be funny." And no, it's
Yeah,
it's not a hilarious movie. It's actually kind of sad in points
yeah,
where, and I felt that way about Jojo Rabbit, and it was the same type of thing. They said it was a comedy, and I'm like, no, it's not a comedy. It's a drama. There's funny parts, sure. Hitler's your
yes.
imaginary friend, so okay, but um, okay. So the three things that I look for in a drama is I look for interest in the subject, um, the script, and the cinematography. So what did you think? And you were talking about your interest in the subject because you love Asian cinema,
Yeah,
um, you
yeah. I
really
got a
like the subject
Japanese
matter here,
aerospace exploration
right?
shirt on.
Yeah, I'm old, so um, so so on a scale of 1 to 10, what was your interest in the subject matter in what this was about?
Probably an eight.
Okay,
Overall, I was interested in the fact that they were exploring Japan, but it really boils down to a relationship piece. Even though it was well done, I mean, you could almost watch 9,000 different dramas on relationship things. If I wanted to watch something on relationships, I'd watch Marriage Story.
okay,
Something that would be better. I mean, there was still a relationship there, still a good story, but overall, yeah. What did I say, seven? Yeah,
you
seven
said 8.
or eight.
You said 8. I already
Okay,
wrote
we'll
it
go
down.
with eight. That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, so then, second thing is the script. If you're going to give me a drama, you got to have a good script coming. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to say they won the Oscar for best
Yes.
original screenplay. So I was like, okay, that's going to tell me something right there. So watching this movie, how did you feel about the script and how it was written?
Again, there's really, even though they
Again,
won for best screenplay, there's not a whole lot of script either.
yeah,
I mean, once they get going out on the town and all that, it's really just snapshots, everything
it's
that's
kind
going
of
on, and
it's kind of improvised like
yeah,
that's when I was thinking that they're actually using like real people and they were actually going and talking to real people because it seemed a lot of that. And I guess I still love that part. That's like my favorite part of the movie because it seemed like it was improvised. And there are movies like Borat, for example, where they kind of do that, but they're making fun of real people, and I don't like that. But what they were doing here was they were just kind of enjoying how the Japanese folks live
yeah,
in Tokyo and what they do on their normal night. They're just kind of joining them.
yeah. And then when he does the actual shoot, I know that a lot of that was improvised because he was, the language barrier and all that, and he was just kind of like, "What?"
What do I? Okay, so I'm turning. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I remember it was like more intense. You want to be more intense. It was like, but I'm saying like if you want to relax.
yeah,
What do I need to be intense?
yeah,
And then with the photo shoot where they were like talking to him and he's like James Bond, Roger Moore. Okay, Roger Moore. I'll be Roger Moore. It was really funny.
yeah. No, I would give the
Uh,
script a nine, just for the
okay.
fact that it really does feel very free, and same thing said about Shaun of the Dead, improvised, and
Mhm.
there's good cohesion. Like I said, I've been blown away with Sofia Coppola and all that. So
Yeah. Tim agrees with us there. There may actually be the genius of the script, though. Sometimes even stuff that seems improvised is planned out in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm sure Sophia Coppola had this all mapped out in her mind when she did it, but it just it seemed that way. Okay, what did you think of the cinematography? And I'm gonna bring up because that segues perfectly into the picture that I have. If I can find it in my
If it's the one I'm
list.
thinking of, I'm going to tell you it's beautiful.
There was one that I wanted. I actually grabbed this picture before I saw the movie, but I liked it. And this was actually when they were in Tokyo in that intersection.
Yeah. I think there's
And
is there a longer shot also that I think either has the back or the front of them, and you can see further down the street
yes,
where you see
I didn't
more of the
actually
neon
I
and all
couldn't
that.
find that. I couldn't find that picture, but when I saw the movie, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that would have been a great shot where you just this super long shot down the street that
Yeah.
was really neat.
Yeah.
But
No.
my favorite picture was when he was playing golf
Oh yeah.
and he was teeing off at this one spot and at this golf course and Mount Fuji's in the background and I was like
Yeah.
that was just epic. And it was the only thing they showed him just on that one tee playing golf. It didn't need to be in the movie, but that was my favorite shot.
I'm
Um,
pretty sure Bill Murray has something in his contract where golf has to be involved somewhere because he's dressed up in a golfing suit in Zombieland
yep,
or outfit. But yeah, I'm agreeing with
Caddyshack.
Tim. Yeah, I'm agreeing with Tim. Absolutely stunning. 10 out of 10. I mean,
Yep,
I hope we get a 4K of this one day because it would look stunning.
it would be beautiful. But yeah, the city scenes in here are really good. Um, I gotta say like almost the first half of the movie it was all in the hotel or
Yeah,
in the
at the
with
bar.
the commercial or at the bar with the cigar, and I wasn't feeling it. But once they actually got out and they were doing stuff, then you get that whole scene. You get to see all of Tokyo, and it was just gorgeous.
The one thing I like about the bar scene because they meet twice before they go out into the city,
Okay.
and I think it's the first time they meet. She starts with a wide shot from like up in the corner looking down,
Hmm.
and the bar's almost empty except for like maybe like one table, and it's pretty much like I think one guy at a bar and then they're at the bar, and it just shows like the loneliness, like it
Yeah.
represents,
Almost like it was just them, and they're so far apart. I
yeah,
think I know what shot you're talking about, and yeah,
yeah.
she's
Because
at
I'm
the
pretty sure
table
it's
and
the
she's.
first.
It
Yeah,
was
I'm pretty
when
sure
it
it's the
was when
first time
she
they meet.
yeah, it was when she or was it when they first met when they were sitting next to each other and she
I
got
think so.
she okay because there was
I may
one
have them
shot.
confused.
Okay, yeah, because I like that because you just see the length of that bar, that table,
Yeah,
and it's just him by himself, and then she comes up and just sits next to him. But there was one other scene that I liked, and it was shown where Bill Murray's kind of in the foreground, and he turns and looks at her, and she's at another table with a bunch of people, and she's drinking something. She turns to look at him, and she buys him like a round of sake or whatever was in that cup,
yeah,
and then you see she's with a bunch of people, but then the camera turns to him, and he's all by himself, and there's nobody
yeah,
around him, and I felt that,
yeah. I
and then
just how she framed the shots in the bar was it really stood out. It kind of told you where they were at in their
yeah,
life.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's put a number on the cinematography. Jerry says, "What's up?" Jerry, thanks for jumping in, man. He comes in at least to show up on all of my streams, and I really appreciate it. All right, so let's put a
I'm
number
going
on the
with
cinematography. You're at 10. I think you said 10.
10.
So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
just
agree
didn't.
with 10. Tim,
Yeah,
10 out of 10.
Tim with a 10. Okay, so then we'll talk about the comedy aspects. How funny was the movie on a scale of 1 to 10? The funny parts, the humorous stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there was the when he was doing the shoot, there was the kind of like mocking of like, what am I even doing here? Kind of funny. When they actually got out, it was overall, it's more serious tone, more serious, sad tone. But I
Hmm.
mean, really, out of the humor that's there, probably, I don't know if I want to say 6 or 7. There's not a whole lot of humor. It was funny when there was humor. So I want to give
Right.
it a 7, but there wasn't enough really humor to say there was humor. So it's kind of like a 6. I'll go 7. We'll go 7.
Okay. Go 7. Give it to him. Okay. Yeah, I was like, my thing is, there doesn't have to be humor all the way through for me, but if you make me belly laugh, if you surprise me and you make me laugh, even if it's like, oh, that's so sad, and it just kind of it makes me. I'm inside. I'm hurting, but on the outside, I'm like, oh, I can't believe that's happening to him. Um, yeah, funny is a hard word to say for this. It's more touching smiles than comedy per se. Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
that. That's a very good point. Um, everybody's talking to Jerry. Jerry's the man. Um, but yeah, but like I said, the the elliptical, because I've had that happen to me. The first time I rode an elliptical, I was like, how do I can't make this stop? And it was like, and now I've gotten better. I know how to do it now. But the first time you ride an elliptical, you're like, okay, this thing won't end. It keeps
Yeah.
going. It's so funny. Um, and then I gotta say, I don't know if they're all like this, but the strip club was amazing. that was the most luxurious strip club I have ever seen, and that whole scene is funny because he's just sitting there going, "No idea what's going on, no idea what to
Yeah.
do," before Scarlett Johansson shows up and goes, "Why don't we go?"
Yeah.
I don't know, trying to make it through one more movie tonight and watch this stream some. Thanks, Jerry. Okay, getting tired but enjoying lots of good streaming tonight. Yeah, this is good. This has been fun. The last thing is the chemistry. And any type where there's humor involved, I've got to have chemistry. So, what did you think of the chemistry? And again, we're really just talking about the two guys, but I want to at least talk about the chemistry, even with the Japanese people. What did you think of the chemistry in the movie?
Again, like you said, we don't know how much of that was improvised. The
Hmm.
the shoot was funny. There was good chemistry there. You could tell there was like a legitimate language barrier thing going on there.
Hmm.
Um, all the interactions they had with any of the English speaking Japanese people were pretty good. I mean, they seemed like it didn't seem forced or anything like that. Of course, the chemistry between the two was perfect. I think perfect.
Yeah.
Um, but then you add in every other little thing in there, it probably drops it down a little bit because again, Anna Faris, Giovanni Ribisi. Anna Faris is a weird actress. Like I really like her. I
Hmm.
think she's funny and all that,
Hmm.
but there's just something always a little just off about
Just
her
a little
every
to the
time.
left. Yeah,
Just a little.
it's a little to the yeah. I agree. Where it's just like I don't know what it is about her, and I like her too. Um,
And
and
I
it's just
liked
yeah, like House Bunny. I was like, I liked her in House Bunny, but then there was just I don't know. Some of the comedy is a little off-putting, but it's just like her whole performance is just a little left of what I would expect. And it's
and then Giovanni Ribisi is literally, I think he's played the same character I've ever seen him. I mean, Gone in 60 Seconds, Knock Around
Flight of the
Guys,
Phoenix.
Flight of the Phoenix, Saving Private Ryan. I mean, he's always the same.
The
Saving
same
Private Ryan, he got a little bit out of his normal tough guy role, but
mm,
overall, I mean, yeah, I'm going to give it a 9. We're going to
okay.
say 9. If it
All
was,
right.
if we were just going strictly on ScarJo and Bill, I'd say 10. But
10 for sure.
just factoring everybody else, 9. Yeah, I agree, Tim. I mean, she's got a lot of great smaller role stuff.
Yeah. When she's not the main person, I really I know, you know I And I'm not much for spoof movies or parody movies, but I did like her in the first Scary Movie. Um, After that, it just got ridiculous. But I will like that one was ridiculous. But the first Scary Movie, I kind of enjoyed, um, and I liked her in it. I liked her in House Bunny. But when she's the main person, it's like, or one of the main people, it's like Um, but yeah, want to see more of the smaller scale stuff from ScarJo. Like almost any other major blockbuster things, are meh besides her Black Widow role. She's done tons of great smaller movies. Yeah, I, um, gosh,
Ghost
there's,
World, um, Jojo Rabbit, Marriage Story.
I loved her in Jojo Rabbit. As the mother, she was great. Um, but what was it? There's one where she has an affair with Bradley Cooper, and I'm trying to remember.
Fair with Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, man, what was that? What am I thinking of? It's bugging me now.
I loved Anna Faris in Waiting. I knew I was like, it's there on my
That
tongue.
was
I can't
good.
remember what, but
That
yeah,
was good.
Waiting.
Yeah. It was one of her old ones. It was kind of probably around this time, um, 2003 or something like that.
It wasn't We Bought a
Uh,
Zoo, was it?
no, no. That was
Oh, that was Matt Damon.
was it- that was
Matt
Matt Damon.
Damon.
Matt
Chef. She was great in
Damon.
Chef.
Yeah, I liked her in Chef.
He's just
Gosh,
not that into
it's gonna
you.
bug me. I know I'm thinking of something. Yeah, it's got to be his. Just not that into you. That's the one. Because yeah, Justin Long's in it. Yeah. And she has an affair with Bradley Cooper, and he's married, and
Okay.
she goes through that heartache because um, she knows he's never going to leave his wife, and that was kind of hard. But I liked her in that.
She's actually been in a lot of stuff. I didn't realize that.
She, yeah, she's got a good IMDb list, 76 credits as an actress.
All right.
Her was great. I liked her, and we were
I
talking about
love
that
her.
too. We were talking about that too.
Yeah. So I'm gonna. I don't mean to interrupt. So
No,
I know
bring it
you
up.
just said
I
her.
was going to ask you to bring it up.
So Lost in Translation is directed by Sofia Coppola. She at one point was married to Spike Jonze that directed her. And the story is that Lost in Translation is her take on their relationship, and her is Spike Jonze's take on their relationship and the whole distance and how they're not around each other and all that. And that's what ultimately led to their divorce. So if you ever want a really good double feature, watch Lost in Translation and her back to back.
And it's interesting that those movies are 10 years apart, and Scarlett Johansson's in both of them.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, let's go to. Yeah, I don't know what to say except that's interesting. All right, let's go to question number 4. This one might take a little bit longer. I usually, people have to think about this. Okay, so who is on your Mount Rushmore of actors and actresses? So top 4 guys, actors or actresses. Who would be like if you had a movie with those guys in it, you would get it without even reading the box. And then alive or dead, if they've already passed away too. Because yes, somebody brought up what I think it was Adam that brought up Robin Williams last time, and I was like, oh, dude, great, great choice.
So let me actually got a list here. Ethan Hawke.
Okay.
Joaquin Phoenix, Scarlett Johansson, or Emma Stone. Either one. Denzel Washington. That's my Mount Rushmore. If I could have 5 on there, those would be the 5 I would take. Ethan Hawke, I love everything he is in.
Nice.
Joaquin Phoenix, there's just something about him that I've just always loved. I think he's just good in everything. Of course, Scarlett Johansson, she's got range. Emma Stone's just hot. And then Denzel's just the fucking badass.
Yeah. Denzel's awesome. He's on my Mount Rushmore for sure. Denzel, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, two more movies
That
left.
didn't take that long now, did it?
No, that didn't. Well, you had a list. You were like, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but I've had people go, gee, I don't know. One
That
person
may
gave
be
me,
a question.
yeah, one
That may
person
be a
gave me
question I have
four.
to answer tomorrow.
Yeah, one person gave me four actors and then four actresses, and I was like, okay, I'll take that. Um, because it was like I can't just pick one. I can't just pick
I,
four of both.
I could put Adam Driver on there too. I love Adam Driver. I think he's
Okay,
versatile as well. I'm gonna have to add that to
nice.
that list because that is actually a question I'm going to be asked tomorrow on what I'm
Okay,
doing. So that's why I
all
had
right,
the list ready.
good. Yeah, use it. Yeah, it's oddly enough. There's two people on my list that I'm just like, I love these people, but they're not necessarily the main people in the movie. But if I know that they're in it, I know it's gonna be a better movie because of it. And that's Kate Blanchett and Stanley Tucci. Those are my two.
Okay.
Those are two that I'm like, if I see that, that's the only reason why I watched Burlesque was because Stanley Tucci's in the movie and Devil Wears Prada too. but um, but Kate Blanchett, she can do anything. I think she's an amazing actress. Um, and then yeah, Denzel, and then I actually changed one because originally it was Tom Hanks was my fourth, but I recently changed it to Robin Williams because I included Alive or Dead, and Robin Williams would definitely be there for me.
Yeah. So I mean, I grew up grew up in the '80s, early '90s, so I was around a lot of that Robin Williams stuff.
Yeah.
Good Morning, or yeah, Good Morning Vietnam was one of my dad's favorite movies, just because he was in Vietnam and actually knew that he heard that radio host that he portrays while he was
Oh,
over
okay.
there. But I really just can't stand his comedy half the time, and he's funny, he's hilarious, but it's just the over the top all the time. Just it after a while it wears on me. I like his more serious stuff, Insomnia and 1 Hour
1 Hour Photo.
Photo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Dead
good.
Poet Society,
Yeah. Love that movie.
Goodwill
That's my favorite of
Hunting.
his. Yeah. My favorite is
Yeah,
Dead Poet Society. That's my favorite movie of his.
yeah,
But there's and I love his stand up. I'm a fan of his stand up too. But yeah, it is all in your face all the time.
yeah.
And it's because he's got like a major social, or he had, excuse me,
Yeah.
rest in peace. He has a major social anxiety disorder to where he would do that because he was so afraid to be
Yeah.
in front of people. So he would just be just absolutely ridiculous. But I have one thing. I have his Inside the Actor Studio interview
Yes.
um, with James Lipton, and that is one of the best pieces of material that I have ever seen him do, and it's all improv. It's like a full-on talk show interview and a 2-hour stand-up routine at the same time, and it's just brilliant. Um,
I actually just watched some clips of that the other day. There was something on Watch Mojo or something. It was like the top 20 improvised Robin Williams thing, and that was part of it. Was that Inside the Actors Studio is fantastic series.
yeah. Oh, I love that series. I watched it all the time, but that one I went and hunted for on DVD and bought it. So yeah, I've got that in my collection because I watched that over and over. Um, I I believe, and it could be just a rumor, but something's sticking in my head that somebody actually went to the hospital because they were laughing so hard that they ruptured something
Jeez.
from that show. In the audience, they had to take someone to the hospital. Um, it could be just a rumor or whatever. But anyway, let's go to. Well, I guess we got some more. Okay. Oh, yeah. See, Ben Foster. Yeah, totally good. Yeah. Tim brought up a couple of dead ones. Yeah, got to resip. Yeah, totally. Let's see. Serious Robin versus Funny Robin. Get better than Funny Robin, except for Mork and Mindy. Okay. I like Dark Robin with things like Insomnia and 1 Hour Photo. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can't not at least mention those in conversation because those were brilliant. All right, we got two more movies.
All right. Let's see which one you pick, because one's my second favorite and the other one's my favorite movie.
Oh, nice. Okay, second movie. Your next one is Scott Pilgrim.
My second favorite movie of all time.
Okay, now I know what your favorite is. But I kind of knew that anyway. And yeah, so I got this one. I've got my, what's it? There's a steelbook that I had my eye on, and I know I've got it on Amazon. I've got it in my wish list. If the price ever goes down or if it ever becomes available, I'm gonna snag this thing. It is. I know I put it in here, or at least I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. I can't even remember the. It was like some kind of weird. God, I can't remember the name of it. Man, I'm drawing a blank now. It's gonna bug me. It's gonna bug me way after this show's over. But it doesn't really pertain to it. But there's a steelbook for Scott Pilgrim that I want. And it's some boutique label that I'd never heard of before, but apparently they do a few steelbooks.
Sofa Movies or Sign Museum?
It was like it sounds like, and the only thing it sounds like A View to a Kill, or it's like something kill, or man, I can't.
I'm not familiar with this version. I've got 4 or 5 different versions of steelbooks for Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, what was it? I'm trying to remember the.
Because this is the Sign Museum out of, I think, Taiwan or something, special edition, 4K.
I guess it's not in my. Never seen that one. Don't buy limited edition steelbook. That one, Titans of Cult.
Oh yeah. I've got that one. Yeah.
That's one I've got my eye on. If I can right now it's like $80. So if I can get it to come down a little bit more, I'm gonna probably grab that. But I just saw a steelbook, a Blu-ray steelbook, which looks like it's like drawn like a cartoon or something. It's a yellow cover.
That's the FYE exclusive. I've got that one as well.
Yeah, I kind of figured you did. Oh no, it's not available in the steelbook. It just has multi-format. So Amazon fooled me, and I was like, $13? That can't be right, and it wasn't. But yeah, when you picked Scott Pilgrim, I was like, dude, I love this movie.
Yeah, I was late to the show on it. Like I said, I loved Edgar Wright, and for some reason, I don't think I watched this until like 2018, maybe 2019. And there for a while, I was watching it once a month. Like every month, as soon as the month rolled over, I would be watching it again. My kids love it. When that opening music comes on, oh my God. My daughter's up dancing around. My son is just like banging his head to it.
Mm-hmm. Dell says if you can't understand the genius of the P meter, this ain't for you. Love it. All right, let's talk about the cast.
10.
Yeah, I mean it's a 10 for me because I'm like, okay, Michael Cera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Anna Kendrick,
Evans,
Kieran Culkin, Chris Evans, Jason Schwartzman. So I'm already at Plaza. 6. It's already 12. Aubrey Plaza.
And you said Anna Kendrick, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Anna Kendrick.
The dude that plays
Brandon Routh. Yeah, Brandon Routh. So I'm out of fingers. It's a 10.
Yeah.
Okay, acting. Again, kind of more comedy, fantasy, cheesy. What would you give the acting?
The acting. Oh, Brie Larson. We forgot Brie Larson.
Brie Larson. That was with the blonde hair. Yeah.
Yes, but I mean the acting is good, but it is Michael Cera. I mean he doesn't really.
Michael Cera kind of. Yeah, Michael Cera kind of rubs me the wrong way as a. I don't know if it's as a person, but I don't really care for his comedy. It's a little too dry for me. But
A lot of these people are young.
yes.
I mean, these are young actors. Really, I mean, Michael Cera and Schwartzman
Hmm.
were maybe the only two actual seasoned actors when this came out.
Yeah.
I'm going to give the acting a 9.
Okay.
It could have been better.
All right, let's go to the plot. Game on. Scott Pilgrim just met the girl of his dreams, literally. But in order for them to date, he must defeat her 7 evil exes, a rogues gallery including an infamous skateboarder, a vegan rock star, and fearsome identical twins. From the genre-smashing director of Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead comes a true original, powered up with wit, action, and groundbreaking visuals that you will want to watch again as soon as it's over.
10. As soon as Edgar Wright, like I said, I don't know why I slept on this for so long. I knew about the movie and I just never watched it. And then I finally did. And I was like, because it came out, what, 2010?
2010. This is the
Yeah.
second one. It's 2010.
Okay. And what was I doing in 2010? I was working third shift in 2010. So I wasn't doing nothing. I was working 12-hour shifts, come home, I'd sleep, go right back to work. So there's about a 4-year period where I just didn't do anything, didn't watch movies, nothing. And that's why I missed that. Then I finally watched it. But yeah, 10 out of 10. As soon as I would have seen Edgar Wright's name on there, like, going back to...
I'm going to get that. Yeah. No, it totally makes sense. So Tim's like, I love dry humor. Sarah doesn't always hit, but I like that style. Jason Bateman is the king of dry comedy for me. I agree with that. Michael Cera is the OG Jesse Eisenberg.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I feel the same way about Jesse Eisenberg. It's just sometimes I just don't like his humor. But yeah, I put those two together in the same category.
Yeah.
But I gotta say it was kind of neat seeing Michael Cera do fight scenes.
Yeah.
It was surprisingly fun. I gotta throw a shout out to Mae Whitman. Mae Whitman is in here. Who was the
evil number? She's number 3 or number 4. Roxy Richter.
Yeah, Roxy Richter.
And then,
she was the daughter. She was the daughter in Independence Day, and that's my favorite movie of all time. So, got to throw a shout out to her.
The drummers have gone on to a few things.
Oh right, yeah, okay.
I don't think she did anything before. She may have had 1 or 2 credits before then, but she's done stuff afterwards.
Yeah, I've seen her since, but yeah, I think that was the first movie I remember seeing her in.
Yeah, she's so hot. I got a thing for redheads. Emma Stone,
gosh, and I got to say one of those other stupid bands. It was like Somebody in the Boys or whatever.
Crashing the
Boys. The lead singer, I recognized him. I can't remember from what.
Yeah. Their drummer's a girl too.
No, a child.
Yeah. We're Crashing the Boys. Is that girl a boy too?
Yeah. And then the girl who plays Knives Chow. I hadn't seen her before, but since I've seen her do a lot of things. Like she was in the series Dark Matter, and I've seen her recently in some series. I can't remember off the top of my head, but okay, let's talk about the ending of Scott Pilgrim. How do you think it ended? Did you get the closure you wanted? How was it on a 1 to 10?
So I've read the comics. I've got the 1, 2, and 3 omnibuses that have all the comics in there, and the movie was written before the end of the book was done. So Scott O'Malley actually took inspiration from the movie and kind of wrote the ending of the books similar. So knowing that it was based on a book, I expected, it to be close to the book, and it was kind of like a little bit free liberty. I could have done without, him and the negative
Scott.
Yeah, Nega Scott.
Well, there wasn't anything to that. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, then they became friends, and I was like, Yeah, I could have done without that.
Yeah, that could have been taken out. Hey, have a good night, Tim.
Good night, Tim.
The fact that he actually went after Ramona, even though he could have easily had Knives Chow, I like that aspect of it. But yeah, the Negus got kind of killed it for me, so we'll give it a 9.
Okay.
And the fact that he learns his lesson, he gets killed, he realizes he's not doing this for everybody else; he needs to do it for himself. That's
Needs
a
to know
great,
how.
great way to
Yeah.
wrap up his arc.
Yeah. Okay. So, story.
It's about a loser falling in love.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the story, like I said, it's based on a comic. The comic is definitely more in depth, but the overall story, I would probably say 8. Um, there's a couple things that just kind of not really irked me, but kind of I thought was kind of unnecessary. Um, like the whole vegan police thing and all that. Like,
It cracked me up, but yeah, it was kind of.
I mean, he beat him fair and square using his mind's eye, so he should have just like died, not vegan police come and took his vegan because he ended up dying anyway. I mean, they came and
Yeah.
took his powers, and then he ended up killing. He kicked his
And then
head in
he.
anyway.
And all the
Yeah.
coins, yeah.
So there was really no need for the vegan police. Like I just kind of thought that was a little bit out of place.
Okay. Okay. Well, what number would you put on it for the story?
We'll give it an 8.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of side characters too that really don't get. They could have been expanded on a little bit too. Which, like I said,
Okay.
in the book it does, but when you make a movie adaptation of a book, it's kind of hard to do that.
Okay. So, as it's based on a comic book. So the genre is fantasy, and the type is comic book movie. So the first, what we're looking for in a fantasy movie is the first thing is the imagination put forth into the movie. So what did you think about that on a scale of 1 to 10?
Very imaginative. I love the whole mental highway, the arcade aspect of it, all that. So we'll give that a 9.
Okay. And then, these types of movies, I like a good pace. What did you think of the pace of the film?
Pacing's pretty good. I think it is. Does it really lull anywhere? No.
I mean, not really. It kept me going. I mean, it kept me going all the way through. Even the part where they're sitting there and the bread makes you fat and you're doing all that mess. But there was like it didn't drag. It wasn't like the character development happened all the way through the movie, and I think that I like that a lot, as opposed to it trying to do all the character development in the beginning and then doing the story. So
maybe when they were sitting on the couch after the show, maybe a little bit, but yeah.
Right.
So pacing, we'll go with a 9.
Okay. And then special effects. There's some CGI in here. There's some stuff going on. But all around special effects in the movie. And this is, as a comic book movie, you're kind of leaning toward that, like Avengers and stuff like that. So what'd you think on?
I mean, there's a lot of CGI in it, like all the snow, when she rollerblades through the snow and it melts away. You've got all the arcade stuff. But it's done really well if you look at it as a cartoon, or not a cartoon, a comic movie. I mean, really, the only thing that kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth is the final fight when Schwartzman pulls his digitized sword out. That just even to this day, I think it looks awful. So for CGI effects, we'll go with like an 8.
Okay.
There's just something about the sword that he uses just kind of looks I don't know. There's something it could have been done better.
Okay. I always kind of thought of it like those 80s video games, like Streets of Fire and things like that.
Yeah. Double Dragon.
Double Dragon, very good example. And I didn't mind. I know this. Yeah, it looked hokey when it came out, but I kind of equated that to like those video
Yeah.
games and stuff. Those 8-bit video games or 16-bit video games where it looked really goofy. But no, I see your point there. Okay, so as a comic book movie, two things I like to see. First of all, its basis in the comic book. How close was it to the comic book on a 1 to 10? Were there some pieces that you were like, no, I would have rather it been like the comic book, or were there some stuff that you might have liked better? What would you put on a 1 to 10 on that?
Uh, it's pretty close to the comic book, but there is like they left a lot of stuff out because he actually moves away from Kieran Culkin's character in it. There's a side story with a couple other girlfriends, and the comic books gets a little bit more in depth with all the downtime because
Right.
there's actually a period in the comic, I believe, where he's no longer chasing Ramona. Like she's left, and he's kind of like, I think it's been a while since I've read it, but so I did like that they cut that out because I didn't think it would have done anything with the story, even though there's so much more for the side characters to have. And it really wasn't anything I would have liked to seen in there because again, he was still finishing the end of the comic.
Right. I liked your point that he took the end of the movie and used that to finish the last book.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool.
So overall, I would say a 9. It's pretty true to the book, except for they did cut out a good chunk that I think is deserving to be cut out.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Dill was saying something here. For me, since it drew so much from the 8-bit and 16-bit games, the sword was supposed to look like that. And I was kind of thinking that too. But yeah, I totally see your point, especially if like the effects on Scott Pilgrim's sword were pretty good.
Yeah.
And to have
because since they did so many close-ups of Schwartzman and the sword was right there, I think it blurred stuff a little bit, or maybe I don't know. There's just something about it always catches me off guard. Whenever, not really off guard, but it takes me out of it for a second,
right.
Even though I know that's how it's supposed to look.
Nice, yeah, I understand. Okay. This doesn't hold true in a lot of comics, but most comics, especially like Marvel movie-based comic book, stuff like that, I look for the humor. And I think that fits really well in here. So what would you rate how funny was this on a scale of 1 to 10?
Really funny. I want to give it a 10.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I think I am just going to give it a 10. Like Aubrey Plaza's character, how she bleeps herself every time.
She bleeps herself with the F-bombs, it was great.
Yeah, the Knives Chow when she gets the O-face, just the little things.
The P meter, we got to talk about the P meter.
Yeah, the P meter.
God, my favorite thing was
I got to pee on this girl.
I got to pee on this girl. I mean, pee time. But there's this one scene where Knives Chow knocks on the door, and Kieran Culkin opens it, and he leaps out the window.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many times I wanted to do that. So that was hilarious. We out the window, and I lost it. Those kind of things. Yeah. Kieran Culkin's character was funny,
phenomenal, and I love the fact that every time Scott had to face an X, Scott would not start fighting until Kieran yelled "fight" or said "fight." I don't know if you ever caught that. It's every time he has to say "fight" before Scott can get into it.
Yeah, even when he was nonchalant about X, fight, go. Yeah, nice.
No, I thought the movie was hilarious throughout. I've never kissed a boy. Oh, neither have I.
Nice, great score. It's a great score on that one. Yeah, we're only 1 point apart on that. Okay, we got one more movie. We got one more question.
Yeah, we got to do the question first.
Let's get the question first. And this could be existential, it could be literal, however you want to view this. But what does watching movies mean to you?
Man, it's a retreat. I mean, I work all the time, trying to raise a family, trying to make by and all that stuff, and to sit down and watch a movie, it's an experience. It
Oh,
can
I
get me
forgot
out of
my
the
picture.
mood. It can
My
put
Scott
me in a
Pilgrim picture.
mood.
Sorry,
Oh yeah.
forgot my Scott Pilgrim picture.
Oh, you're fine.
Um, so put that on there. There we go. Okay.
Um, but I also, especially since I've gotten into this community too, watching movies is a learning experience. Like here in the last year and a half, I've expanded gotten out of American movies besides Asian. I'm starting to delve in other countries, and it opens my eyes to other places, other times, and it's just movies are cool.
Movies are cool. Yeah, the word that I get most often is escapism,
Yeah,
and it totally makes sense. It's definitely I don't want to say a consensus, but it's definitely kind of a unanimous thing. Is it's a way to kind of get out of your reality for a little bit, and it's almost like reading a book. You're going into this
yeah,
fantasy world, and you're trying to, for 2 hours, you just need to, or if you're watching Avengers for 3 hours, you're just gonna try to, um, you're just trying to get out uh, and just kind of get away from what you're doing, or one of the things that it means to me, especially with collecting now, is it's about the memories.
yeah.
It's not necessarily the memories of the movie, but the memories of where I was when I first watched the movie, and who I was with, and what the situation was. I've come to in my in my years, I've come to like look at it that way instead of look at it for the movie itself, but like recently because I bought of course the Indiana Jones movies in 4K, the new steelbooks that they're coming out with.
Right.
um and in fact, Last Crusade should be coming in this month, and I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark last month, and it brought back so many memories of being in the theater watching it for the first time, and who I was with, and the crowd and how they reacted, cuz it felt like I was in the theater again with the sound and the picture and the 4K. It was a really good transfer. It's the same as the white one. It's the white transfer, so it's not anything different, but it was just beautiful to watch. And but what got me was the memory of where I was when I first watched the movie, and that's kind of what it's been lately, is the memories of the movie.
Yeah. My
Independence Day
number one
2.
movie. Yeah, my number one movie. I know how many times I went and seen it. I remember the routine, everything, and all
Yeah,
that. But yeah,
I, I
like
kind of had a feeling.
Avengers,
Yeah, I had a,
Endgame.
I had
I
a,
mean,
yeah.
I think
Well,
everybody knows whenever they hear Captain say assemble. Like I
yeah,
remember being in that theater, me and my three buddies, and as soon as he said assemble, that whole theater
the
just
whole theater went
erupted.
up. Well, or when he catches the hammer,
Oh yeah,
and you're like, dude.
yes,
But yeah, for me, because Independence Day is my favorite movie. It's not the greatest movie in the world by any means, but I watched that opening night in the theater in 1996, and it was standing room only. There were people standing in the aisles. The
jeez,
theater was packed, and we're watching the movie, and the crowd is going crazy. When the aliens start showing up and things start happening, the crowd's getting into it, screaming and crying and clapping, and it was an event. It's like going to I don't know if you've ever seen Rocky Horror in the theater. Um, but I can't stand watching it on my TV because I went that is an experience you've got to have in the theater, because if you go to the right place, they're acting out the parts on
yeah,
stage while the movie's going behind them, and it's an event. It is just a monumental event, and you don't get that too much anymore.
no, we
Um,
actually our city zoo also had an amphitheater right next to it, and when we
okay.
used to have big name people show up here, and every year they would do a Rocky Horror Picture Show, and it was insane because I think the amphitheater held like 3,000 people, 2,000 people, something like that,
Oh, yeah,
and everybody dressed up. They would shut down the whole street and everything, and just it was amazing. But I've never seen it. It's just something I never got into.
yeah. No, I went. I no, I'm not a fan of the movie by any means. I'm not. I don't really care for the movie, but it's the memory of the event that I didn't dress up. I went with my friends who were actually performing in the play, and I was just there as like they had me as a stagehand, and I was just kind of there, but I was watching the event, and it was just the crowd was just crazy. Like you said, everybody was dressed up. There were 1,000 people in the theater. There was people were acting out and like lip syncing the songs on stage and doing all the parts and going through the crowd and people had super soakers filled with mayonnaise and water, and it was crazy. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't do it again, but it was an amazing event, and it's something that's stuck in my brain. Much like your favorite movie and my favorite movie. But and that's the last one that we're gonna do. So we are ready for your favorite movie, The Crow. And I wish I had the steelbook of this. I mean, my my cover's the same.
It needs a 4K bad,
It
and
needs a
I
4K.
I'm assuming when we do finally get a 4K, if we ever do, we'll get a steelbook for it too.
Yeah, if I'd be down if Vinegar Syndrome did one, I'd be down for that. I'd be down if Arrow did one. As any type of
I would
steelbook, if
almost say
Lionsgate,
Scream Factory would probably
I could
be
see
the
that.
American choice.
Yeah.
But this came out in '94. I
Hmm.
was 15 years old. I loved Bruce Lee. I knew about Brandon Lee. Of course, he passed away during the making of the movie.
Yep.
And our only movie theater at the time in town had it was a big building, and then across the street there was a strip mall that had a smaller theater that ran like the older movies. It was only like two screens, so they would replay older movies. But it had a bunch of restaurants in there, and it had a place called Cat's Records, and it was the record store, movie place, and all that. So, me and my buddies, we would go. Parents would drop us off. We'd go eat. We go to Cat's Records. We go watch the movie. Go back over to Cat's Records. But when this came out, I seen it in the theater 8 times. It's the movie I've seen the most in the theater, and my favorite soundtrack, my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Period.
Beautiful music in that.
Yeah. As much as I love Scott Pilgrim, like I'll rewatch Scott Pilgrim over and over, but The Crow just to me holds so many memories. Like I remember browsing through Catch Records, walking across the parking lot, going to the theater, and all that. It's just a deep memory in me.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome, and it's like me with Independence Day. I feel the same way. But yeah, I, unfortunately, and I'm dating myself, I was 24 when The Crow came out. I knew you were 15. I was 24. I'd already had two of my three kids. Um, I and it was um, I didn't get a chance to go see it in the theater because my kids were what 1 and 2 at the time, and I was like, yeah, we're probably not going to be able to go see this because it's dark. And
Yeah.
if it's bright, like we went and saw, of all movies, Far and Away, we went and saw Far and Away with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, and they loved that movie. They watched it. I think just had my son at the time, my oldest son, but he watched it all the way through because it was so bright. The scenery and the horses and all that, quiet the whole time. But dark movie like that I couldn't do. And I wanted to because once I heard that Brandon Lee passed away, and I was a big fan of Brandon Lee. Um, and I know that the director didn't want Brandon Lee for this movie until he started like acting, like doing the role, because he was like, he's a martial arts actor. I don't want him. But once he actually did it, once he actually started, then the director was like, okay, yeah, this will work. Um, was 23 when it came out. No kids yet. It's on in the theaters with my brother-in-law. See, yeah, same thing. I missed the chance to see this, but by the time 1996 came around, my kids were a little bit older, and we brought them. It was me and my best friend, and we brought both boys, and one on each of our laps because there was no room in the theater for anybody else to sit, and it was just an awesome experience. But I bought this movie on DVD when it first came out in the snap case. And then as soon as I had a chance to get the Blu-ray, I got it. But yeah, I would love a 4K of this.
I've got a Japanese version downstairs. It's a 4K 2K remaster is basically what it is. This is some
Okay.
Japanese company rescanned it and fixed a lot of the issues with the Blu-ray.
Hmm.
And it looks a lot better, but the CGI stands out a little bit more too. But the
Okay.
color grading's a lot better. It's not nearly as dark. The blues are
Oh,
pushed through a little bit more, but it's not cheap. I think I ended up paying like $80 for it. But
oof.
it's, to me, it was worth it to see a better version. I mean, the only reason I had the steelbook is because it's my favorite movie and it's a steelbook. But
Yeah.
yeah, when the 4K comes out, I'm hoping, I'm thinking there is a 4K master out there already floating around that's been scanned, but I just don't know. I don't even
Uh,
know who owns the rights to this or anything anymore. What
hmm.
is this?
It's
Paramount
Miramax, isn't it?
or Miramax?
It's Miramax. Who owns Miramax? Does Disney own Miramax?
I think so.
I think Disney owns Miramax.
So that would have
So
to
we're never
be
going to
like,
see it.
yeah. So that'll have to be the
or
boutique label.
yeah, or it's going to be a Disney transfer. And um,
Yeah.
all right, let's talk about the cast.
All right.
So of course we got Brandon Lee. Um,
Um,
I think I was at an 8 for the cast. Because of who I knew. But again, yeah, I was 24. But yeah, it was Brandon Lee, Michael Wincott, Bai Ling, and Ernie Hudson were the ones that I recognized.
yeah. Yeah. The only one I knew at the time was Brandon Lee and Bai Ling. So whatever that gives me.
So that gives you a
4.
4.
Yeah. Um, yeah, because Ernie Hudson, I don't think I knew from anything, and Prescott,
From
I don't think I
Ghostbusters
knew
or
from anything.
anything?
Oh no! That's right. He was in Ghostbusters, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we're gonna have to go with the 6 then.
Okay. Going with a 6. Trying to
I
trying to get
always forget
this.
that he was in Ghostbusters.
Because yeah, whenever I was like, oh, it's got you know, I Bai Ling first because I love my Asian actresses, and then Brandon Lee, and then Michael Wincott because he's always a bad guy. And it's just weird with seeing him with long hair in this movie.
Yeah,
And then I go, oh, and it's Winston from Ghostbusters. And then I go, wait, Ernie Hudson. I always go, it's Winston Zedmore. That's how I remember. Okay, what do you think of the acting in this? On a 1 to 10. And again, fantasy movie. It's based on a comic book.
yes, it's based on a graphic novel, sir.
Yes. Oh, compromiso, senor.
No, no, Dale. I'm serious. I didn't know his name was that was Ernie Hudson. I know him as, yeah.
See, I know him as Winston. See,
I know as Winston as well. And he
yeah.
doesn't look. The movie is so dark. It's hard. It's
That's
really.
really,
I mean,
and
honestly, the movie.
yeah,
Yeah, he's dressed in black, and it's
he's
really
dressed in
hard
black.
to.
He's always got the hat on, usually.
Yeah.
He's always got his
The
police hat
apartment
on.
scene is about the only. Yeah, the apartment scene's about the only bright scene that he's actually in.
Yeah,
Everything else is dark.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, the acting overall, Brandon Lee killed it. He was very intense. He
Hmm.
really captured James O'Barr's version of The Crow.
Yeah.
Uh, Prescott was good. Ernie was okay. The third act kind of falls apart for me a little bit because after the shootout, like it really just kind of goes a little downhill. So I'm going to give the acting I don't know because all the gangsters are pretty funny in it too. Um, I'll give it an 8.
Okay,
Fire
solid.
it up! Fire
Fire
it
it
up!
up. And I recognize that actor, the one that God, what is his name in the?
Scum, not
It's
no.
like I was thinking Scuzz Bucket, but it's something
Scuzz. Is it just Scuzz?
or Scud or what is his name in the movie? T-Bird.
T-Bird's um, the guy
Oh,
with the
you're
knife.
right. So you're talking
I'm
about?
thinking
Are you talking about Fun Boy or Skank?
oh, Skank. Skank. That's who I'm
Skank.
thinking of.
Oh yeah, he's the one that he gets in the hotel room with the drug dealing mother, with the drug taking mother, I should say. Um, but yeah, it's David Patrick Kelly, the one who plays T-Bird. I recognize him because
Okay. Yeah.
I think he was from Warriors. I gotta.
I thought that was. Oh no. You're right. You're right. He is. Yeah. He was in John Wick too. He was in John Wick.
Yeah, he was in Commando, Beverly Hills Cop.
Moonlighting.
Yeah, he was Luther in the Warriors. That's what I remembered him
Yeah.
from. But I didn't remember his name.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I was like, oh, I know who that dude is. Uh, okay, let's do the plot.
Um.
Let's see. Before Sin City and The Dark Knight rose, there was The Crow, the dark, lurid revenge fantasy from director Alex Proyas that entranced audiences and critics alike. Featuring Brandon Lee in his final performance, The Crow is a tale of a young musician, Eric Draven, who, along with his fiancee, is murdered on the eve of their Halloween wedding. Exactly 1 year after their deaths, Eric is risen from the grave by a mysterious crow to seek out his killers and force them to answer for their crimes.
10 out of 10.
Yum! I'm like, I am all in. Here, take my wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave that a 10 too. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's okay. Ending. What do you think of the ending for this?
Like I said, the third act drags a little bit. For me at least.
Yeah. And we
Like.
can get that when we talk about the well, we are definitely going to talk about the pace.
Yeah.
Um so but just the ending itself, how it ended with the you
I mean,
know,
it ended. I'm pretty sure it ends the same way as the graphic novel, or very, very close to it, if I remember correctly. I mean, the ending didn't leave anything open. I mean, he got his revenge and did all that.
mhm.
So I'm going to give the ending a 9.
Okay. And then what would you give the story?
I'm going to go with a 9 also.
Okay.
Like I said, the third act just, even though I love the movie, the third act just sometimes just doesn't do it for me.
Okay. Um Good first half. So then we're talking fantasy and I won't say graphic novel, but comic book movie. Um You got me self conscious about that now, sir. Okay, so the imagination for this movie. What did you think of that on a 1 to 10?
I thought it was great. Just the ability to use the powers and all that, and then um, each person's like a little specialty and all that. So I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay. Okay, and now the pace of the film. What did you think of the pacing?
Again, the third one just kind of slowed it down for me. The guitar playing on top of the roof too, I thought was unnecessary. But we'll go with an 8 on that.
Okay. And special effects. No CGI in this. This is all practical effects. So with the rain and I'm gonna add the music in this because I think the music is definitely part
Oh yeah,
of the effects. The set design, costumes, um,
There,
Like, you've got all the fire effects because it's Devil's Night and um,
and you said there was no
explosion.
CGI. Him
Well, there
running
might be
across the roof.
CGI. There's green screen stuff, but I don't think there's CGI in here. It's
Oh yeah, okay,
94.
yeah.
There
You are
might be
correct.
some green screen stuff, but I don't think there's any CGI.
I know when he's running across the roof after he gets shot up, and the police are chasing him. I know there was something about that, but that may be actually just the way they had to film it because I think he was already deceased whenever that was filmed.
Mm,
I
yeah,
remember something about it.
because I know, yeah, he died when they were filming the scene where he was shot and he went out the window.
Yeah,
Um, and which was at the beginning of the movie, but the end of their shooting, toward the end of their shooting.
yeah. So special
So
effects. Oh, when the hole was the hole in his hand when Funboy shot him, that wasn't CGI. Oh yeah, I guess that wasn't CGI. That was practical effects. Yeah.
I think that was practical effects, but yeah, um, I don't think it was CGI. I mean, it was 1994, so I'm just kind of taking it for granted that there was not a lot of CGI. I think there's green screen stuff, like he was running on the roof and stuff like that. I think that's green
Yeah.
screen,
Okay. So,
but I think
but yeah,
that shot might be
maybe
green screen, but I think
I
that
mean,
was
it's
good though.
obviously a fake hand in front of him because when he stands up,
Yeah,
like the hands, like
he's like
literally, yeah, way
woo,
over
and he's
here.
looking through it, and it's like
But
yeah, no, I'm sure
oh,
that's practical effects.
and you are right about the soundtrack. Grammy Revell scored this movie fantastically. Like I
Yeah,
said, it's my favorite.
this is definitely top 5 of my favorite soundtracks of all time.
Um, so special effects, some of it is a little dated, so I'm going to
Yeah.
go with a 9.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Now we're talking about the comic book stuff. How true is it to the graphic novel? And what would
It's
you give that on a 1 to 10?
it's been. I read the graphic novel before I watched the movie,
Yeah.
and I haven't read the graphic novel since. So, if I remember correctly, it's fairly accurate, fairly close to it. So, just because I am not totally for sure, I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay. Yeah, I read the graphic novel after the movie, and I found it was really good. Really did a
Oh
good
yeah,
job with the movie. Um, and I don't want to talk about the humor in this, but there is humor
yeah.
in this movie. There's actually some really dark, funny stuff going on. And because I was like, do I score? Because with DC comic stuff, I score on how dark the movie is, like the darkness that's involved,
Right.
like how dark emotionally or whatever. And it is a dark movie. But I also, with Marvel and stuff like that, I talk about the humor of it. And I think there's a lot of both in this movie. So I did list it based on the humor. And there's one scene that I love where Ernie Hudson has a gun on him and he says, "You move and you're dead." And Brandon Lee says,
Yeah.
"And I say I'm dead and I move."
Yes.
um,
When he sneaks up on him in the apartment too, and he goes, "Man, are you really dead?" And he goes, "Boo," or whatever he says
yeah,
in the apartment. Also, yeah, there is
yeah.
very
There's
subtle
some,
humor, and I think it's used really well.
yeah. I think
Uh,
yeah, I don't want to say it's subtle because there's some really obvious stuff, but yeah, it's used really well. It's placed really well. Um, like when he's getting ready to when he's dealing with Funboy and Funboy's on drugs and he's like, Jesus walks into a hotel, hands
hands
the
the
innkeeper
innkeeper
3 nails,
3 nails.
and
Can you put
says,
me up
"Can you
for the
put me
night?
up for the night?" And then
Yes.
I was like, I love that. It was really good. So yeah, so okay. So how would you score the humor, dark or otherwise? How would you score the humor of the movie? It doesn't have to be a lot, but the placement is good. Really,
It is,
the
and
the
even Top
humor.
Dollar has
Mhm.
some really good uh, humorous things like "caw caw bang fuck I'm dead,"
Yeah,
like that,
Michael
and then
Wincott. Yeah,
yeah, even Bei Ling is like, "I like the
I
pretty
I
light,"
like the pretty eyes. Yeah,
or
and
yeah.
the rest of the guys kind of laugh like they're kind of worried at the same time. Um,
So with the humor, it's well placed.
mhm.
I do chuckle every time. I don't think there's a joke that does not hit, and there is some dark stuff in there. Even like
Yeah.
whenever he tells her mother that mother is the lip on, or mother is the words on the
Mother is the
lips of,
word for God in hearts and minds of children, or something like that.
yeah,
That's
and he
one
goes,
line where I'm just
morphine
like,
is
wow,
bad for you,
morphine is
and he's
bad.
like, yeah, um, yeah. So I'm going to give it a 9. The humor is
Okay.
very well placed, and it is dark. Even when he does the guitar string at Fun Boy, when he first comes in the window, he's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he slides to pick up the strings to make the noise. Yeah, it's a dark movie.
It is. It's a dark movie. All right. Well, we are done, sir. Are you ready to hear your scores?
Sure.
Oh, I got one more. The crow picture.
Oh,
That was the
oh yeah.
one with them on the rooftop with the girl. And it can't rain all the time. It's
Yeah.
but it seemed to rain all the time in that movie.
Yes, it did.
uh, okay. Coming in at number 5, your lowest score is Lost in Translation with an 81.
Okay.
At number 4 with an 86 is The Crow.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
Which I know it has flaws. I love that movie
Well,
because of
yeah, it's
the,
94, but and this goes, favorite does not necessarily mean best.
yeah, that's true.
Um, and this is why, because people say, "Oh, what's your favorite movie?" And I say Independence Day, and people go, "What?" And I'm like, "Dude, it's not the best movie ever made, and in my opinion,
Yeah.
but it's my favorite movie because of everything else that was involved, like what you have with The Crow, I have with Independence Day. But it's not the best movie. I think I ended up giving it like I don't know, like an 89 or 91 or something like that. But and speaking of which, okay, so coming in at number 3 with an 87, Shaun of the Dead. Number 2 with an 88 is 13 Assassins. And your number 1 movie, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, with a 91.
All right. I'll take those. Yeah, I hate saying that, what is my favorite movie, but if you ever pose the question, if I was ever stranded somewhere or if I had to go on a long road trip or whatever, if I were to take 2 movies with me, Scott Pilgrim and Crow,
Yeah.
all day, every day.
Yeah. I can see that. And even though the score doesn't reflect it, I can tell by the way you talk about the movies. Even though Scott Pilgrim got your highest score, and Scott Pilgrim got my highest score, but it's not my favorite out of the group either. So for me, coming in number 5 was Lost in Translation also, and I gave that a 76. Shaun of the Dead for me came in at 4 with a 79. 13 Assassins came in at 3 with an 83. Number 2 was The Crow at 85. So I was 1 point lower than yours. And my number 1 was Scott Pilgrim with a 90. So we were only 1 point different with Scott Pilgrim and The Crow.
Yeah, and I can understand why Lost in Translation comes in 5th for you. Like, I mean, it's
It came in 5th for
it's
you
either
too, but it's a good movie. I
yeah.
I don't know. I can honestly say I don't know if I would watch it again unless somebody was like, "Hey, I want to see Lost in Translation," and then I'll go ahead and put it in. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't go. I wouldn't go looking for it. But your other movies, I've seen multiple times and would watch multiple times again in the future. I have no problem with that. But I'm glad I have Lost in Translation in my collection now because it's something that I never bought before.
Just
So so
watch
so
that and Her back to back.
I
It's good.
I will. I'll do that once. I'll do that once for sure. I liked her a lot. Um, so that's interesting when you gave me that bit of information. That was really cool.
And I've heard that story like 2 different times, and I'm assuming it's true. I've never really like fact checked it, but I've heard it from an internet source, and I also heard it from an actual somebody in the community actually told me that too. I was like, I don't know if they read the same article or what, but it makes sense because it really parallels their lives when they were together. So
Yeah. So Dell says that he hates that he missed the discussion on 13 Assassins. Great twisted version of Seven Samurai.
so good.
Yeah. That was my first Criterion purchase was Seven Samurai. And that's Kurosawa. So it's
Yes.
I like Kurosawa stuff too.
Yeah. So if I'm looking at Japanese directors, Kurosawa is my favorite old time, Miike is my favorite new time, and then
Okay.
right now the Korean stuff that's coming out, the South Korean stuff over the last 10, 15 years has been amazing.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy who directed Parasite. I know that Turner fan and I have
Bong
talked about
Joon-ho.
him. Yeah. I love his stuff. Back with the host and um yeah, Turner fan just recently bought Oakjaw and I haven't seen that yet,
It's good.
but he's yeah, God, he's so good.
Have you seen Snowpiercer with Chris Evans?
Yes, I have that.
That's also his movie too.
Oh, yeah, that was good. I like that.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of the series too. I enjoyed the series a lot.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
Okja is completely different from Parasite. Parasite's completely different from Snowpiercer, but he does everything so well.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally true. Well, we are done, my friend. What did you
Yes,
think of your scores? Any surprises?
um, no, not really. I feel like
Okay.
maybe I scored some stuff a little bit higher than what you did, but also that
Yeah.
boils down to tastes. So
It absolutely boils down to taste, and like I said, I've been doing these for 10 years. so so I'm looking at it based on all other movies of that genre and type that I've watched and how I would rate them according to that. So yeah, I lowball them a little bit, and but it was funny. Like I said, because I reviewed Scott Pilgrim back in 2010, and it was before I'd even started the Lowdown with the 10 aspects, and I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, which equals 9 or 90 out of 100, and I gave
right.
it a 90 on the dot. So I was actually really happy that I matched that score. Um, all right, so I had a lot of fun. This was great having you on. Thanks a lot, Ryan. It's been awesome. Um, Coming up on the 21st, is that
Yep.
our? Yeah. So on the
Yes.
21st,
Sunday the 21st.
I'm going to be a guest on your channel.
Yep. It's going to
Tell everybody
be
what we're going to be doing.
it's going to be me, you, Mega Mike the Movie Man, Convicted Cinephile, and Tim Talks Talkies. We're going to be doing some suggestion roundtable style. I'm getting the promo stuff finished up this week, and we are going to be giving recommendations of wacky, weird, or just straight out strange movies that you should check out. So hopefully people can find some stuff in there that they didn't know about, or maybe they just thought it was too weird. And, by us being in the community, maybe they can take our word for it and actually go out and watch them. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
Sunday, August 21st. It'll be 8 p.m. Eastern time.
8 p.m. Eastern, so 7 Central, so 5 Pacific.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because on Sundays I always start at 7 my time that way, because if people's got to work the next morning and all that.
Yeah. Because it's funny because I just found out recently that Mega Mike the Movie Man, he lives close by.
Yes.
Me.
Yeah, we found that because we were on the
We were on
stream.
the battle, yeah, with Adam,
Battle.
and he was the panelist. And
Yep.
yeah, I found he lives in the town that I go to get my movies. So I was like, oh man. So one of these days I want to do like a out of theater review where I show up and I photobomb them. While they're talking about, look through their back window or something, and mess with them. Good night, Dell. Thanks so much for
Yeah,
joining us, bro. I appreciate it. But yeah, so yeah, you guys subscribe to him on YouTube, Movies with Ryan. Check him out on Instagram. Follow him there at Movies with Ryan. The links are there at the bottom. Um, Coming up for me, I have on Monday we do our live stream on Instagram at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. No, now it's 7. 7 p.m. Pacific because we had to move it. 9 p.m. Central, 10 Eastern. Our topic for next Monday is going to be shark movies. So we're going to talk about shark movies and then wherever the chat takes us from there. So we've gone as long as 4 hours at one point on Instagram. And last week we had 50 people on on the live stream. It was crazy. Um, and then next Tuesday for our top 10 Tuesday, Turner Fan 77 and I are going to be talking about our favorite sci-fi movies. So
That'll be a good
that'll be
one.
fun. He picked 5, I picked 5, so we're gonna score them live and see who wins. Right now we're even up by genre. Or he's won half of them and I've won the other half. So it's interesting how that's coming about. And points are pretty good. I'm doing a lot of math with those, so it's fun.
Time zones and math, two things you didn't think you'd be doing on the
e-
internet, did you?
exactly. I thought it was going to be all cat videos and porn, but it's not.
Nope.
All right. Before we go, Ryan, anything else you want to say? Do you want to go ahead and plug? I did your channels already, but you can do it again if you want. Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, you pretty much no. So
I
yeah,
talk a lot.
movies Ryan. No, you're fine. YouTube, Instagram. I do have an interview coming up tomorrow with another YouTuber. He records it, edits it, and it comes out at a further date. So when that comes out, I'll let everybody. I'll do my little post I always do that it's coming out. So watch out for that. Again, August 21st, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have wacky, weird, wild, strange movie suggestions. And I got to figure out what I'm doing for next week's video. I always wait until the last minute to do them. So
And you just
that's
throw it
it.
together and just go for it. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And my pleasure. And to you guys out there on YouTube that have been watching, thank you so much for watching. Tune in again next time for another high five. I don't know who I'm going to have. I'm looking at Huck from Huck's Pop Culture Cafe. He and I have been talking, so I might have him. Not next week. Next week is my surgery, so not a whole lot of streams going on next week, but probably somewhere around the following week or the week after, I'll probably do another high five with Huck. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Is
Until
a
then,
ball of energy.
yeah, you guys, everyone be safe. Watch some movies. Spend 2 hours. Enjoy life. And let us know how you thought. Let us know your thought feelings on them. Take care, everybody. Be safe.
Have a good night.